Chapter 361 Super Recentric in Art. Everyone was slightly surprised, and Tamari's face couldn't help but be overjoyed. Naruto, she exclaimed, and looked forward, only to see a very familiar back suddenly appear in front of everyone, and the words of the sixth generation of Eyes Hokage above the White Lord were extremely dazzling. Naruto turned his head and smiled slightly. Tamari, take everyone to a distance, he will leave it to me. Naruto, it's great that you are here. I was planning to summon you. Tamari exclaimed with surprise on his face. You have to be careful, that guy's lightning coat is very sturdy and very strong. Hard to break. Naruto nodded. Well, I see. Casting a reassuring look at her, Naruto turned to face the third generation of Hokage. And Tamari stepped back with many ninjas who were still at a loss. The faces of the girls beside Tamari were full of curiosity. Sister Tamari, is that person the legendary sixth generation Hokage? He's so handsome, and he looks so powerful. Tamari patted the other party's head. Nympho, these are not what you should be concerned about now. Hurry up and get out of here. Naruto's battles are usually very fierce and dangerous, and I will be involved if I am not careful. Well, it hurts. Sister Tamari, you are not happy, are you? I heard that he is still your fiancé. 8 trigrams, the girl said. Tamari's face couldn't help but Yuhi, glared at the other party, ignored it, and led everyone back together. At this time, the second generation Mizukage was also attracted by Naruto and looked towards Naruto. That guy over there, he still looks strong. Get rid of Hokage quickly and kill me, he yelled. Naruto sweated. This guy is so funny. Humph. The second generation of Mizukage, it is hard to say whether he can solve the old man. The third generation was aroused arrogantly and hummed. Che, I'm optimistic about this young man, he can definitely beat you. The second generation Mizukage laughed. Oh, really? Hokage looked at Naruto and saw that he was only a young man of 17 or 18 years old. He immediately shook his head and sighed. You became Hokage at a young age, I hope I don't die at the hands of this old man. Naruto laughed, and he couldn't help but think in his heart, he had already fought with the third generation of Hokage when he was crossing Roran before, and at that time, he gave up ninjutsu and was not afraid of him in melee combat in your curse mark mode. This time, it can be regarded as an old rival meeting. Thinking of this, Naruto's eyes showed a hint of excitement, and his aura instantly rose to a terrifying level. The air around him became sticky due to Naruto's aura. The face of the third generation Hokage changed, and he immediately admired Naruto. He was not good at perception. He didn't know how strong Naruto's chakra was before, but now he felt it. This strong pervert's chakra. His face immediately became solemn, and at the same time, there was a hint of excitement in the eyes of Naruto. It seems that your strength is not bad. The third generation Hokage laughed and said, then I don't have to worry about it. Boom. Soon as the voice fell, I saw a powerful thunder and lightning chakra burst out from the third generation Hokage, and a violent strong wind burst out, competing with Naruto's momentum. However, although the third generation Hokage is stronger, it is still a lot weaker than Naruto in chakra. The tiger roared, and the 3 generations of figures flew up. Wherever they passed along the way, the ground became a piece of scorched earth, and the power of thunder and lightning overflowed everywhere, making people feel chills when they saw it. And Naruto suddenly closed his eyes, slowly accumulating strength. The next moment, a more powerful chakra burst out from him. Dazzling golden light. Brilliant. Natural mode. 3 generations of Hokage's forward movements can't help but be suffocated by this force, such a powerful chakra. This chakra is like a vast ocean and cannot be speculated. The third generation of Hokage's fist has just reached Naruto when he gently stretched out his hand to stop it. Quote exclamation mark question mark. Hokage looked startled, but when he wanted to withdraw his arm, he found that the other's hand was like a tongue that made him unable to move. How could it be so strong? At this moment, the third generation of Hokage finally changed his face. In the next moment, he directly stretched out his other hand and concentrated the thunder attribute chakra on his fingertips. 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1 finger. The moment when his strength reached its strongest, Hokage slammed into Naruto's chest. This is my strongest blow, you must dodge it. No matter how powerful Naruto is, he can't stop his stunt, right? Hokage thought so. However, in the next moment, he realized that he was wrong, and it was very wrong. Because he saw the most unbelievable scene in his life. I saw that Naruto just stretched out a hand and grabbed his wrist in an instant. And his fingers just stopped in front of his chest, only a tiny difference from his body. The fist of one hand was held by him, and the wrist of the other hand was also firmly bound, and the third generation Hokage's arms were completely unable to move. Naruto's face was calm, and he said lightly, "Try my art." Boom. Hokage's body was instantly kicked up by Naruto, and he was in midair. Hokage saw that a white chakra ball in Naruto's hands suddenly turned into a shuriken. Buzzing. The air made an ear-piercing scream, and even Temari and the others, who were watching the battle from a distance, felt the surrounding air vibrate violently. This is Naruto's Rasenshuriken. Temari sighed, and sure enough, his futon wind style is far from comparable to him. Everyone was also fascinated by this powerful ninjutsu, and looked at Naruto without blinking. Rasenshuriken between Naruto's hands did not end there, but suddenly swelled more than 5 times in the next moment. A giant Rasenshuriken in his hands. Super Futon Wind Style Rasenshuriken Art. Naruto gave a light drink, and Hokage hurriedly turned around in midair to avoid it, but in an instant, a golden light flashed, and Naruto's figure had turned into a golden light and appeared behind him. Giant Rasenshuriken in his hand slammed down hard and landed on Hokage's back with a thud. Boom. The next moment, an incomparably violent white light swirled in the field, directly spreading out in a radius of several hundred meters, and an incomparably strong hurricane swept away around. The people watching the battle from a distance hurriedly blocked their hands in front of them, terrified of this terrifying ninjutsu. Chapter 362 Seal 2 Shadows. Naruto also stepped back, looking at the effect of his own ninjutsu, with a smile on his face. Under the natural mode, it is not a problem to increase the amount of chakra input on the basis of the original Rasenshuriken. And Hokage's lightning coat, can he stop his oversized futon wind style Rasenshuriken? Naruto fell to the ground, watching the energy storm gradually dissipate, revealing a deep pothole on the ground. And Hokage's body has fallen softly into the pit, the thunder and lightning coat on his body has long since dissipated, and dirty soil is constantly flying over his body. It seems that he is repairing his body. Naruto's body flashed and instantly appeared beside Hokage, who couldn't move. Hokage sighed, "For the first time in my life, I was defeated with overwhelming strength. You will be the opponent that this old man will remember for the rest of his life. Seal it." Naruto smiled lightly when he heard the words. "I'm also very happy to have a fight with you. I used all my strength to deal with you just now." "Hee, is that so?" Hokage smiled slightly and slowly closed his eyes. Naruto stretched out his hand and pressed on him, and the next moment, black runes wrapped his whole body. 3 generations of Hokage, sealed. Up, a Hiraishin returned to Temari and the others, and after handing over the sealed body of the 3rd generation Hokage to them, Naruto once again rushed to the 2nd generation Mizukage, another person in the arena. "It's amazing. It's so handsome." The female ninja beside Temari couldn't help but sighed. "When will I be able to have futon wind style ninjutsu like him? Even if it's 1/3. No, 1/10, I am also satisfied." "Don't be envious, let's practice hard. Naruto's current strength comes from hard work. Temari taught him a lesson." "Yes, Lord Temari. Seeing your battle just now, it's very good." When Naruto came to the 2nd generation Mizukage, the 2nd generation Mizukage couldn't help but praise. Naruto looked at the ninjas who were lying all around, and frowned slightly. Mizukage looked at him helplessly and said, "Hey, they are too weak, if you don't come to this group of guys, I will kill them. Okay, then I will do what you want, Naruto said lightly. Okay, I hope you will kill me soon. Oh right, I'm a mirage now. The real body is hidden, Mizukage reminded. At the same time, Naruto's eyes suddenly turned to the corner on the other side. The next moment, his figure flashed, and he instantly appeared in the midair of an open space. Super Big Ball Rasengan. In an instant, a Rasengan with a height of dozens of meters suddenly appeared out of thin air. Mizukage's expression changed immediately. Wow! It's the body of a mirage there. You can actually find it. Boom! The next moment, a strong storm rose out of thin air, and before Naruto's Rasengan fell to the ground, he suddenly encountered a layer of obstruction, and with a bang, rays of light radiated. Countless powerful spiral energies flew in all directions, and a scream came from the air. I saw a huge psychic beast wrapped in a hard outer shell slowly emerging below Naruto's Rasengan, but, at this point, the guy's hard shell has been completely shattered. Boom! A white smoke rose, and the mirage disappeared in place. You actually killed the mirage. Boy, how did you find my psychic beast? The second generation Mizukage slowly emerged from Naruto with a surprised look on his face. Naruto knew that his body was hiding here, so he looked at him and smiled slightly. Your demonic illusion can't work for me, so under my perception, your body is all exposed. The perception of the force of nature completely ignores the terrain and the existence of demonic illusion, and at close range, even if Mizukage hides it well, it won't help. What? Even my demonic illusion can't confuse you? It's unbelievable, the second generation Mizukage exclaimed, and then shouted again, but my magic is more than that. Next, there are more powerful waiting for you. I saw him stretch out his hand and make a seal. The next moment, more than a dozen childlike clones suddenly appeared around him, and they rushed towards the surrounding areas. The target turned out to be the people of the Ninja Coalition. I'm sorry, my body is completely out of control now, and these clones are not under my orders at all, Mizukage exclaimed. Naruto's eyes sank, watching those clones rushing towards Temari and others who were at a loss, nodded slightly, and said to him, I know, so next I have to seal you up before they can work. Quote. Place where the second generation Mizukage was at the next moment, and the speed was as fast as lightning. However, the second generation Mizukage was also well prepared, and the figure retreated sharply. At the same time, several clones suddenly jumped towards Naruto. Get out of the way, these clones of mine will explode, the second generation Mizukage reminded. Naruto glanced at it, and instantly captured the movements of the two clones. He hand-sealed with both hands, and with a few bangs, he instantly separated out more than a dozen shadow clones, and moved towards Mizukage's clone to meet them. The Mizu shadow clones swiftly bypassed Naruto's clone and rushed directly to Naruto. Humph! Naruto snorted coldly, suddenly stopped and let them approach. Hey, get out of the way! Mizukage cried out involuntarily. Naruto smiled slightly, but in an instant those clones suddenly burst, and a large amount of water vapor spread around with extremely hot high temperature and terrifying power, and Naruto's figure was immediately submerged in it. Hey, this kid looks very smart, how can he be so stupid at this time? After the second generation Mizukage exploded, his body fell into a weak state, and his body was hidden behind a rock and shook his head helplessly. Suddenly, his eyes widened suddenly, looking at the figure that suddenly flashed in front of him. His face was full of surprise. Huh? You were killed, and you actually found me. Of course, it's very easy for me to dodge this level of magic, and your weakness is also here. Naruto, who suddenly appeared in front of Mizukage, smiled faintly. Okay, now you can go back. Seeing that the rest of the Water Shadow clone had rushed into the Ninja Coalition and was about to explode, Naruto immediately used the sealing technique. Seal. As soon as the palm was pressed, the next moment, the weak Mizukage couldn't dodge and was pressed by Naruto's palm to his abdomen. Forehead. Mizukage was shocked, and the next moment he suddenly raised his head and smiled and said, "Thank you. I finally freed me from the guy who controlled me. Naruto shook his head. You, welcome. Hey, what a nice young man. Chapter 363 Enko's Investigation. Generation Mizukage has also been sealed, and with his seal, the clones have all dissipated into ordinary water vapor and disappeared into the air. Naruto took his body back to Temari and the others. That's great, Naruto, it's over. Temari cheered, and couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. And all the ninjas also celebrated and surrounded Naruto. The posture seemed to want to lift Naruto and throw it around a few times. What's more, several female ninjas kept heading towards him. With a wink, he almost didn't take the initiative to dedicate himself. Fortunately, before they all rushed over, Naruto had already asked Temari to deal with Raikage and Mizukage, and then left the place in a flash and went to the place where Gaara and Onoki fought. The battle between Gaara and Kazekage of the 4th generation is coming to an end. Naruto sees that Gaara has no place to help, so he dodged and left the place to go to the battle scene of Onoki. By this time, Onoki was already in a tough fight. 2nd generation Tsuchikage was in his prime when he died, and now he has the ability to infinite chakra and infinite resurrection after being impure world reincarnation. Onoki is too old to fight against his master at all. After a few rounds, he was already whimpering, breathing heavily. Hey, Onoki, seeing you like this, I really feel sorry for you. The 2nd generation Tsuchikage sighed. You, who used to be so stubborn, are now willing to unite with other villages. Are you old and no longer ambitious? Are you ambitious? No, adults, the Ninja Alliance is what everyone expects. The old man just recognized the truth. Onoki bent down and panted. Really? But now the fact is that you're going to die. Are you still persistent? The 2nd generation Tsuchikage reached out his hands and aimed at Onoki's body, and Jinten particle-style white energy bullets flashed between his palms. I can't dodge. This old man's back pain is happening again. Onoki was sweating profusely, and seeing the energy in the hands of the 2nd generation Tsuchikage was about to be launched, he couldn't help but feel a little desperate. Suddenly, a look of joy appeared on his face, and the next moment, he heard a bang, and Wu's body was smashed into the ground. Everyone in Anko's team was nervously investigating. Captain Anko, there seems to be a special barrier in front of you. Byakugan of the Hyuga clan suddenly observed a transparent barrier and couldn't help exclaiming. Huh, barrier. Anko's face sank slightly. It seems that it is very likely that the enemy's lair is there. You go back first, I will go in and have a look alone. No, wouldn't it be too dangerous to go alone? Others urged. Anko shook his head. There is always someone to investigate the intelligence. As the captain, I will never back down. However, I think it's better for us to ask the headquarters for instructions. Anko frowned slightly. It's too late. If we don't go in and investigate carefully, no one knows what will happen next moment. Maybe the enemy will move their positions immediately. Okay, listen to me, you all stay where you are. If I don't come back, just bring a message to the 6th generation Hokage-sama. Anko waved his hand indifferently. Haha laughed and said, just tell him, you are the man I have recognized in my life. After speaking, Anko waved his hand and walked forward, ignoring the few teammates who were standing there dumbfounded. The expressions of the rest of the people couldn't help but be full of complexity. Captain Anko. What shall we do? The Byakugan messenger of the Hyuga clan asked a companion of the Aburame clan. Silent for a while, he sighed slightly. I don't think we can leave the captain behind. Even if we die, everyone must stand together. Kabuto, who was in the enchantment, was biting Kiba and gnashing his teeth, because Naruto killed many strong people in a row, which made Kabuto feel that he lost too much, and he became more and more unwilling to Naruto. Humph. Uzumaki Naruto, since you are so good, I have to show my cards in advance. Kabuto took out a chess piece from his pocket and placed it on the chessboard on the ground in front of him. A cruel sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. However, the bugs must be dealt with first. Phew, damn it. Why does Naruto's breath keep jumping around? How can I find him? At this time, not far from a Megakure village, Karen and the others were sitting slumped on the ground. Karen grumbled loudly. You guy took us Kabuto around for a long time, how can you trust it? What kind of perception of your mind is not good at all? I think it's better to call it a blind eye. You also unscrupulously complained. You bastard, my senses can reach thousands of miles away. How dare you doubt my ability? I'm so pissed off. Karen yelled and jumped, and you also frowned and snorted. Then why did I come here? Haven't found that guy yet. How do I know? His breath is always jumping around. Karen scratched his head. It was at 3 o'clock before, and then at 12 o'clock, it's better to stay away from us. Far away, and then to the northwest again, how could I possibly perceive something wrong? Quote. It must be your problem anyway. Taiyu also snorted. Listening to the argument between the two, Yuhilien suddenly said, Karen, you said that his breath is constantly moving, right? And it is 1,000 miles in an instant. Yeah, as far as I know, the only jutsu that can move instantaneously is time-space ninjutsu, and Naruto. Oh right, I heard that he can do Hiraishin jutsu before. Is this true? The technique of Hiraishin. 4 generations of Hokage used this technique to win the title of Yellow Flash in the ninja world. If Uzumaki Naruto can do it, it will not be difficult to explain what Karen said. Yuhilien frowned and pondered. Number way, he's so elusive, where the hell are we going to find him? Karen couldn't help crying. Chapter 364 Deep into the hinterland. Near the village of Megakure, Itachi's figure was constantly traveling through the forest, and there was an enchantment not far ahead. As expected, that guy must be hiding in that barrier. Itachi pondered for a while and said to himself. Suddenly he sighed slightly, looked behind him and said, Come out, you've been with me for a long time. Zuiyu. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure quietly appeared in front of him. It was Zuoyu. After she got the power that Itachi gave her before, she couldn't rest assured after all, and secretly followed. And just after Zuoyu appeared, 2 more figures jumped out from the side. It was Bai and Yugao. I didn't expect you to come here too. Zuoyu said. Yes, seeing you sneaking out alone, we naturally followed. Bai smiled slightly. Seeing the 3 of them running over, Itachi sighed helplessly. At this time, Enko has also reached the edge of the enchantment in the other direction. This layer of enchantment is so strange, it is difficult for me to break it. Enko reached out and touched the stone slab at the entrance of an underground secret room in front of him and muttered. Because of the barrier of the enchantment, she could not detect everything inside at all. Only by entering the interior can she continue to explore, but now the connection to the world cannot be broken, which makes her a little worried. If only Naruto were here, this level of enchantment wouldn't be difficult for him. Enko muttered. Suddenly, her face changed slightly, and the next moment she rushed forward. Swish! A long white shadow suddenly jumped from the spot, and Enko's body was almost caught by the object. Turning back and looking at it, it was a big white snake. And beside the big white snake, there was a man with glasses with a gloomy smile on his face. There are distinct snake-scale features on the face. You're Yakushi Kabuto. Enko watched him carefully for a long time before recognizing him. You've changed a lot. He. Mitarashi Enko, are you surprised by my appearance? Kabuto stuck out his tongue, licked his lips, and smiled. I am stronger than Orochimaru-sama now. Humph, pervert guy. Enko scolded, took out his kunai and shot directly at him, shouting, Isn't impure world reincarnation you're doing? Correct. Kabuto smiled lightly, fluttering back slightly, avoiding Enko's attack in an instant. Sure enough, it's you. Enko bit Kiba, hand sealed with both hands, waved his arm, and suddenly a 5-flowered snake jumped out from his sleeve and bit Kabuto's body. Kabuto looked disdainful. Really, is it still unclear who is the real prey? Enko. Kai. Just when Enko's serpent just arrived in front of Kabuto, Suddenly two large white serpents appeared behind Kabuto's back, entangling Enko's serpent in an instant, making it immobile. I originally wanted to go and get you personally, but now I'm very happy to see you obediently come to your door. Kabuto's tongue rolled around his lips, and he laughed excitedly, just to save time. I've worked so hard. Swish. The next moment, Kabuto suddenly rushed in front of Enko at an incredible speed, and when Enko could react, he stretched out his arm and clasped her neck. At the same time, a large white snake jumped up and entangled Enko's body. Well, but, damn it. Enko didn't expect Kabuto to become so powerful. As a special Jonin, and his strength has improved recently, he didn't expect to be restrained by him in an instant. This was something she never expected. Hee. Kabuto smiled contentedly. At this moment, a few dim lights shot to the back of his head in an instant. Kabuto was slightly startled. He had to let go of Enko's neck, and his figure hurriedly dodged to the side, but the next moment saw a flash of blood, the entanglement. The white serpent with Enko was directly divided into two halves. Zuiyu fell to the ground and reached out to catch Enko, who was standing unsteadily. There were flashes of lightning arcs on the short knife in his hand. Are you all right, Examiner Enko? Sasuke asked. Enko was stunned for a while. She didn't expect Zuiyu to appear in front of her at this time. She looked at her with surprise. Why are you here? Had to look. 3 more figures appeared in front of him. It was Itachi, Bai, and Yugao. We're here to deal with this guy, Itachi said lightly. Uchiha Itachi, what's the matter with you? Enko couldn't help but wonder when he saw that he was actually on a united front with Sayu and the others. It's a long story. In short, I'm your companion now. Itachi turned to look at Kabuto, and said coldly, this guy's impure world reincarnation has caused a lot of trouble for the ninja coalition on the battlefield. My mission is to stop him. On the battlefield, Naruto has successfully sealed the 2nd generation Tsuchikage, and saved the life of the 3rd generation Tsuchikage Onoki. Naruto's powerful strength just now made it difficult for the 2nd generation Tsuchikage with Jinten particle style to resist, which made Onoki secretly shocked when he saw it. But he also has more confidence in the battles that follow. The 3 Kage-level Narutos were killed at once, and they returned to the camp where they were stationed amid the cheers and admiration of the crowd. There were constant cheers in the camp, and every ninja was talking about things related to Naruto during the rest. Naruto stood on a mound and watched the sunset gradually fall to the horizon. He used the power of nature to perceive the surrounding situation and found that there were no dangerous enemies on the battlefield here. Naruto. At this moment, Temari called him from behind and came to stand beside him. Naruto turned his head to look at her. Seeing her pretty face full of wind and frost, he couldn't help saying, why don't you take a break? There is still a battle to be fought. Temari smiled slightly. Didn't you also rest? I'm not the same. This battle is not too much for me. Naruto said, and you have to rush to other battlefields for support, and there are still tough battles to fight. It's alright, I just want to be here with you. Temari shook his head and hugged Naruto's arm. Hearing what she said, Naruto didn't say any more. When she was leaning on him, he quietly put his hand on her back, and a force of life slowly passed through, nourishing her tired body. Temari's body trembled slightly, feeling the incomparably comforting power rushing from his back. Looking at Naruto, a sweet smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 365 Naruto arrives. The battlefield where Yuhi, Tenten, and others were located, after the Golden Horn and the Silver Corner receded, the remaining enemies were all annihilated, and they were being repaired at this time. At this time, news suddenly came from the headquarters that the source of impure world reincarnation, where Kabuto was located, had been found. After getting this news, the Darui troops directly sent an elite team to where Kabuto was, while the rest of the ninjas stayed where they were. However, at this time in Omegakure village, Kabuto had already fought with Itachi, Sasu, Shiro, Yugao and Enko. The siege of two Sharingan and a Hyoten ice-style Kekkei Jinkei powerhouse, Kabuto was able to deal with it easily, while Enko and Yugao, despite their good strength, faced Kage-level powerhouses in the battle. Is still somewhat difficult to intervene. It goes without saying that Itachi's strength is a little bit stronger than Itachi in the cursed state, and Shiro's Hyoten ice style is also very difficult to deal with. The average strength of the three is around Kage level. However, Kabuto was not afraid at all. After fusing Orochimaru's cells, he obtained the perfect sage art from Raichi Cave, learned to use the power of nature, and can give life to matter. Front of such a strong person who surpassed Kage level, the three couldn't help but fall into a hard battle. Itachi's demonic illusion is completely useless to him, ninjutsu is not as good as Kabuto's in sage mode, and taijutsu is even worse. But with the cooperation of the three, Kabuto couldn't take advantage. However, this situation suddenly changed after a while. Because Itachi's chakra and body suddenly couldn't support him anymore, he was originally fighting with his sick body and enduring the dying torment of his life, and the pair of Sharingan's vision has long been blurred. Itachi's sudden lack of support immediately brought Kabuto a great opportunity. He spotted the weak Itachi, and he instantly launched a powerful attack. After seeing that her brother was in danger, Sayu directly activated the ability of Susanoo's man under Mangekyo Sharingan, and the huge phantom firmly protected Itachi. "Are you alright?" Sayu dragged Itachi aside and looked anxious when he saw him coughing violently while covering his mouth. "I'm causing you trouble." Itachi finally raised his head. His face was full of weakness. "I didn't expect his strength to be so strong that he actually learned sage mode. It seems that I underestimated him." Strength. Just as he was talking, Kabuto attacked again, and he saw his hands swiftly hand seal, Senpo, Sage Art Beiji Art. In an instant, a long dragon composed of white liquid suddenly flew out, its body was spinning rapidly in midair, and a dazzling dragon ball was held in the dragon claws. And strong vibrations in the air. This is. In an instant, everyone in the range felt a strong vibration and a dazzling light coming from the air. At this moment, everyone stood still and couldn't move, and their bodies fell into numbness. Of Susanoo of Sasuke couldn't maintain his form either and dissipated. Kabuto giggled strangely, his body like a spirit snake jumped in front of Sasu and Itachi, sticking out his tongue and rolling it towards the two of them. At this time, everyone could not move at all, and even had no time to care about what happened around them, so they could only be slaughtered by Kabuto. Sasu and Itachi instantly sensed danger and wanted to escape, but it was too late. Suddenly, everyone only heard a bang, and the ground under their feet shook violently, and then everything around them returned to normal. Looking closely, he saw a golden figure standing straight in front of the crowd, a huge dirt pit appeared under his feet, and a white figure fell into the huge pit. Naruto. Several people saw Naruto's figure for the first time, and their faces couldn't help showing a strong surprise. "Naruto, why are you here?" Zuiyu asked with a look of joy. Naruto snorted softly, "You guys don't even tell me when you act alone. If I didn't have your time and space coordinates, how could I have come here now?" "Well, I'm sorry, Naruto, I want to make a contribution and help you share the pressure, so I want to get rid of this guy." Zuiyu lowered her head slightly, showing an impressive look. With her strong personality, she originally wanted to kill the enemy while relying on Naruto, but she did not expect that she would eventually underestimate the opponent and put herself in danger, and finally had to trouble Naruto. Naruto patted her on the shoulder and came to Itachi and said, "Your body is very weak, let me treat you." Huh. Itachi was stunned for a moment, but saw Naruto suddenly put his hand on the top of his head, a force full of vitality poured in from the top of his head, and instantly reached his limbs, Mukuro, and in an instant, Itachi felt the pain on his body was gone. Go, even the overused Sharingan became clear. This is. He couldn't help shaking his body. After a while, Itachi's body had recovered most of the time. Shiro, Enko, and Yugao also came to Naruto's side to look at him. With the backbone, they had no worries at all. After treating Itachi, Naruto turned to look at the white figure in the pit, and saw that he was slowly melting into a pile of liquid, and then returned to his human form and stood up. Uzumaki Naruto, Kabuto looked at him excitedly. Finally see you. You who even had to endure 3 points with Orochimaru-sama, this time I will definitely defeat you. Really, it's a pity you can't do it. Naruto waved his hand lightly, and said to Zuiyu and the others, don't interfere for now, I'll deal with this guy. What? That's not good, I want to fight with you too. Zuiyu couldn't help shouting when she heard the words. Bai also stood beside him, expressing his position with firm eyes. At this time, Itachi suddenly said, Zuiyu, you guys should get out of the way, I'll leave it to Naruto, our current strength will only hinder him. Hearing this, Zuiyu and the others couldn't help showing disappointment and unwillingness on their faces. At this moment, another figure suddenly appeared in the field, with a special iron mask on his face, and 2 different eyes appeared in the 2 holes. It was Sharingan and Rinnegan. Chapter 366 Uchiha Madara. Madara, Itachi was taken aback. Itachi, it seems that you finally chose to betray Akatsuki. The masked man looked at Itachi with a sneer. Itachi was silent for a while, and said, you should have known my identity in Akatsuki. When you attacked the major countries of the ninja world, I was no longer a member of Akatsuki. Humph. Since that's the case, I'll take your eyes too. The masked man snorted coldly. Masked man, you are really confident. With me here, if you want to hurt Zuiyu, you must pass me. Naruto stopped him and sneered. Masked man narrowed his eyes slightly. You are really troublesome. Uzumaki Naruto. You are also troublesome to me. Naruto said lightly. Masked man looked at Kabuto and suddenly said, it's time to hand that guy over to me. In this case, we can't recover the complete Kyuubi, 9 tails, smoothly, so we can only use that guy instead. Kabuto frowned slightly, pondered for a while, reached out and made a mark. A coffin appeared in front of the masked man, the coffin lid was opened, and a figure came out. Take it, but in such a hurry, I'm really worried about you. Humph. As long as the 10 tails come out, these guys are all worthless. The space in front of the masked man swirled, and the body of the impure world reincarnation was instantly sucked into the different space by him. Okay, do you retreat with me or wait until you leave? The masked man asked after he got to Silver's corner. If you want to go, go first, I also want to play with these guys. Kabuto suddenly smiled. Masked man looked at him and pondered for a while, then nodded slowly, then you can do whatever you want. The space swirled for a while, and the figure of the masked man disappeared from everyone's eyes. Naruto frowned. He wanted to rush up just now, but he found that the masked man and Kabuto were both very close, and wanted to take Kyuubi, 9 tails, chakra from them both hands. Tails can't do it at all, and the masked man's time-space ninjutsu is also very fast. No matter how fast he is, I am afraid that he can't forcefully take it away when he inhales Silver's horn body. At this time, the masked man had already left with Silver's corner, while the remaining Kabuto looked at Naruto with gusto. Hey, do you know why I didn't leave with him? Huh. Kabuto licked his lips, because I want to kill you all here. Everyone was stunned. Zuiyu coldly snorted, how arrogant. Your sage mode is not even 1/10 of Naruto's. I didn't say I was going to kill you all by myself. I said another guy. I guarantee you can't think of who it is. Kabuto laughed awkwardly. Except for Naruto, everyone couldn't help feeling creepy. Who is it? Zuiyu and the others couldn't help but have some doubts in their minds. Naruto had already guessed what Kabuto was going to do, and his expression couldn't help but move slightly. At this moment, Kabuto hand sealed with both hands, and then suddenly pressed it to the ground, with a low voice in his mouth, the art of psychic impure world reincarnation. Suddenly a wooden coffin emerged from under the ground. Humph, is it impure world reincarnation? Which Kage level powerhouse is this time? Sayu snorted coldly. With a bang, the coffin lid was blasted out instantly, and a burst of smoke rose. At the same time, a powerful and suffocating momentum spread out, surprising Itachi and the others. What a strong momentum! Who is this? And Naruto has already detected the information of that person, and it is indeed that person. A look of excitement flashed across his face. The smoke cleared, and everyone finally saw the figure in the coffin. This is Uchiha Madara. Zuo-Yu and the others couldn't help exclaiming, with a look of horror on their faces. This is... Madara took a step forward and looked around. A trace of confusion flashed in her eyes, and then she looked down at her body again, dissatisfied. How? Let me be resurrected in this way. Look, come on, that guy didn't do things according to our agreed plan. Back, did you bring me back to life? After muttering to herself for a while, Madara suddenly turned her head to look at Kabuto. A humble smile appeared on Kabuto's face. Lord Uchiha Madara, it was me who resurrected you. Now I want to use your power to kill these guys. Madara looked back at Naruto and the others, frowned slightly. Why should I listen to you? Kabuto chuckled. That's up to you. The impure world reincarnation art might be controlled by me. This, Madara's eyes flashed a stern look. A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and in the blink of an eye, his hands suddenly formed a seal. A ray of light flashed across his body, and he sneered slightly. You foolish junior. Giving me self-awareness is your biggest mistake. Kabuto couldn't help but froze for a moment, then his expression changed greatly, and he exclaimed, What? You actually unlocked impure world reincarnation. Humph. The guy who wants to control me, Uchiha Madara, must first measure his strength. Madara kicked away the coffin behind him, but looked at Kabuto with a murderous look on his face. Boy, look at you resurrecting me. For the sake of coming out, I won't kill you, just get out of here. This, Kabuto couldn't help but froze in place. Humph. A cold hum came. Uchiha Madara suddenly appeared in front of Kabuto, and suddenly punched Kabuto's body at a speed that was almost unresponsive. Boom. Kabuto's face changed greatly, and he raised his hands to block his chest, just to resist Madara's blow. With a bang, his body was directly knocked out, turned into a liquid in midair and fell to the ground, recondensed into a human form, and looked at Madara in horror. Yo, it's not bad. It can defuse my attack. Madara smiled lightly, looking at Kabuto with a hint of admiration in her eyes. How about being my subordinate? Poor Kabuto has been a little hard to adapt to this sudden accident. Originally, he wanted to summon Uchiha Madara to deal with Naruto and the others, but he was still a little self-satisfied. Naruto would be beaten miserably by Madara, but he didn't expect it. Taking control of him was unlocked impure world reincarnation. Damn, Kabuto couldn't help scolding. Looking at Madara who was out of his control, a bad premonition instantly rose in his heart. Chapter 367 The Two Face Off. On Naruto's side, Itachi, Sasuke, Shiro, Yugao and Anko were also in shock. They thought that the masked man was Uchiha Madara, but now the impure world reincarnation Madara is standing in front of him alive. This iron-like fact shows that that person is not Madara. Who is that? Even Itachi had a look of surprise on his face. Only Naruto, who knew the truth, did not feel strange. Madara just noticed that Naruto's face didn't change much, and immediately became interested in her heart. She ignored Kabuto and turned her head to look at Naruto with interest. You guys' chakra is also quite powerful. And you don't seem to be afraid of me at all. Naruto took a step forward, golden light flickered on his body, and smiled faintly. Uchiha Madara, if you want me to tell you, don't come out of the dead guy, otherwise if your soul is sealed, you won't be able to live again. Hearing this, Madara couldn't help but froze for a moment, then laughed. Interesting. It's really interesting. Boy, what's your name? You're even more arrogant than me. Uzumaki Naruto, the one who will seal you. Naruto waved his hand, and a fighting spirit surged in his heart. He glanced at Itachi and Sayu and the others behind him, motioning them to step back. It turned out to be a descendant of the Uzumaki clan. Could it be a descendant of Mito? Madara touched her chin and looked at Naruto thoughtfully. Naruto frowned, looked directly at him and shouted, "Uchiha Madara, although you are the founder of Konoha village, but I am now the 6th generation Hokage of Konoha village. No matter what purpose you are resurrecting now, I will not let you do whatever you want." In natural mode, Naruto is not afraid of Uchiha Madara's power at all. Even if he already has Rinnegan and Mokuten wood style, he is not afraid. Moreover, he also wanted to fight him very much in his heart. After all, there is almost no one in the ninja world who can become his opponent. Even Kyuubi Ninetales can't pose a threat to him. Only strong men like Uchiha Madara, it's worth fighting for him. Madara-sama. This guy is the Kyuubi Ninetales Jinchuriki column force, the toughest guy in the Ninja Alliance now. I want to kill him first. At this time, after listening to the mutual provocation between the two, Kabuto said while adding a fire. "Humph, I still have your turn to command." Madara glared back at him, and then she wondered, however, what about the so-called ninja coalition? Besides, the Kyuubi Ninetales Jinchuriki column power. I didn't feel any Kyuubi Ninetales aura from him. Spirituality. Suddenly, Madara's hands quickly pressed hand seal on the ground, and circles of runes spread out, but there was no response. Kyuubi Ninetales' psychic contract has been changed. Madara looked slightly angry. Who did this? The incomparably strong chakra escaped everywhere, and the surrounding air could not help shaking. Itachi and the others were shocked by this chakra. Naruto stepped forward and smiled slightly. Madara, Kyuubi Ninetales, is no longer your pet, he is with me now. Huh, so you did it. Madara stared, Tomo Sharingan stared at him coldly, and an invisible Kamui pressed towards Naruto. Naruto didn't move, and the essence Kamui pressed towards Naruto, but it seemed like it was sinking into the sea. Naruto didn't respond, just smiled faintly. Actually, if I want to tell you, you are destined to be useless now that you are resurrected. Ha ha ha, this is the craziest kid I've ever seen in my life. Madara couldn't help laughing. Hashirama didn't dare to talk to me like that back then. What are you, kid? Old bastard. A coquettish voice sounded, only to see Zuiyu jumping out at some point, lightning flashing in his hands, and rushing directly to Uchiha Madara. You are not allowed to insult Naruto. Oh, seeing the special pair of Mangekyo in Zuiyu's eyes, Madara couldn't help but froze for a moment, then immediately became angry. Have the Uchiha family degenerated to such a level? Speak for a foreigner. Humph, he's my lover. Even if you are the leader of our Uchiha clan, I won't allow you to make a big deal here. Zuoyu couldn't bear Naruto being looked down on by others. She also wanted to make her angry, so she was impulsive at this time, and she rushed up without thinking about anything. Beyond one's own strength, Madara waved her arm and punched Zuiyu directly. Although Zuiyu's lightning cutting power is very powerful, under Madara's powerful chakra, can she face him? This ordinary punch is not sure yet. However, Zuoyu was determined to fight against him. Seeing this, she didn't dodge at all, she actually wanted to fight him hard. Naruto shook his head slightly. The next moment, a golden light flashed, and at the moment when the two were about to collide with each other, his Hiraishin technique appeared between the two, and then he suddenly stretched out his hands to hold both sides. Wrist. Zuoyu, you should step back, don't mess around. Naruto smiled at her and cast a consoling look. Zuoyu pouted, took back chakra according to her words, and retreated. At this time, Madara was already full of surprise, looking at Naruto's hand holding his wrist, and said with interest, with this power, I didn't expect that there are still people in this ninja world who can easily stop me from taking action. Ah. I told you a long time ago, your strength is nothing but that. Naruto threw off his arm, and at the same time suddenly handed a punch, with an incomparably strong chakra on the fist, and directed Madara smashed his chest. Madara put one hand in front of her chest, and there was a loud bang, and where the fists and palms of the two met, an invisible wave of air rushed to the surrounding area, forcing everyone to take a step back. This power is very strong. Itachi's expression changed slightly. The next moment, I saw Madara's feet retreating, and was blasted away by Naruto's violent force. For more than 10 meters, Madara finally stopped, and at this time, his face already showed a dignified and excited look. Junior, it seems that I underestimated you. Madara regained her footing, and her face had changed to a look full of fighting intent. Chapter 368 Kabuto escaped. Seeing Madara's momentum soaring, Itachi and the others suddenly changed their expressions slightly, and jumped to Naruto's side in unison. Naruto, we will fight with you, Itachi said lightly. In this case, it is obviously impossible to let Naruto face Madara and Kabuto alone. Madara, who was full of fighting spirit, suddenly frowned, looked at Naruto and said, Uzumaki Naruto. Quote. Zuo-Yu and others couldn't help but stun for a moment, but saw Madara flying away in a blink of an eye after speaking, ignoring everyone. He actually left. Zuo-Yu turned to look at Naruto. Would you like to catch up with him? Naruto frowned slightly and looked at Kabuto. Just let Madara go, his speed is not so easy to catch up. Now the most important thing is to deal with this guy Kabuto first. Naruto is right, no matter how powerful Uchiha Madara is, he is still only one person. The most important thing right now is the Impure World Reincarnation Army on the battlefield. If you don't stop it quickly, it will only cause more casualties. I think we have to deal with it. Uchiha Madara, it's better to put it last. Itachi nodded in agreement. Hearing what Naruto and others were talking about, Kabuto, who was left behind by Madara, was already in a cold sweat. He had seen Madara's strength just now, and the power he showed after unlocking his Impure World Reincarnation had already shocked him. And then Naruto's strength to beat Madara back, not to mention the strength. Even if you are in the perfect sage mode, it is difficult to resist people with such strength as Naruto and Madara. I didn't expect Naruto to be so strong. It's no wonder that Naruto's strength 3 years ago made Lord Orochimaru jealous, and now 3 years later, how can there be no progress? Moreover, at the speed of his progress, how much strength is he still unknown to him? Thinking of this, Kabuto couldn't help feeling restless. Even though he had various plans, it was difficult to calm down at this time. Don't let him run away. Naruto reminded everyone, seeing the changing expression on Kabuto's face. Compared with Madara, Kabuto's strength is much worse. Naruto has entered the natural mode. An enemy like Kabuto who has no powerful escape techniques must not let him go. With a bang, a powerful chakra suddenly appeared on Zuiyu's body beside Naruto. In an instant, Zuiyu had entered the state of the curse, with a pair of dark wings behind her slightly flapping, and a cold look on her face. Itachi looked at her with a slightly surprised expression. Zuo-Yu, who are you? Zuo-Yu didn't answer, but with a flash, she rushed towards Kabuto in an instant. Kabuto was also startled when he saw Zuo-Yu entering the second state. However, compared to his sage mode, the curse mode was too immature, and he didn't take it seriously. Squeak! A flash of lightning flashed in Zuo-Yu's left hand, and a wildly burning flame in her right hand. A fire and a thunder were concentrated between her hands. Following her rapid thrusting figure, she instantly arrived in front of Kabuto. Kabuto didn't dare to be careless about Sayu's attack, and hurriedly stepped back, because he had to guard against the attack of Naruto and others. He didn't dare to counterattack for a while, for fear that Naruto and the others would find an opportunity. So, after several consecutive attacks, Zuo-Yu had the upper hand and forced Kabuto to retreat. Boom! I saw Zuo-Yu's hands slammed into a stone Jinchuriki column, and the stone Jinchuriki column immediately broke. Kabuto turned to the side several times in a row. He glanced at him, moved his hands, and was about to raise his arm to hand seal, but saw a flash of golden light in front of him, and the next moment, Naruto's body appeared in front of him. Kabuto was suddenly shocked. His face changed wildly, his body was ready to liquefy, in order to resist Naruto's attack, but Naruto stretched out his palm and pressed it on his chest, a special light flashed on Kabuto's chest and passed. At this time, Kabuto's body just turned into a pile of liquid flowing on the ground, and then quickly condensed into a human form. Naruto's attack didn't seem to be effective, but the expression on Kabuto's face was already as shocked as hell. What did you do? Why can't I feel the natural energy anymore? It's impossible, it's impossible. Kabuto cried out in disbelief. Naruto chuckled. That's the Senpo, Sage Art Seal. I have sealed your perception of natural energy. Now you have no Sage mode. Seeing that the pair of dragon horns on Kabuto's head slowly degenerated, and the eyeshadow on his face returned to its original appearance, everyone felt a little surprised. It turns out that Naruto still has such a technique. I don't know how many ninjutsu he still has not used. Everyone's hearts are full of admiration for Naruto. Itachi stepped forward and said, I cured my body and sealed his immortal power. Uzumaki Naruto, how much power do you have that we don't know yet? Naruto smiled slightly and said, although I have sealed his Sage Art ability, impure world reincarnation still can't stop it. You can only rely on your demonic illusion. Kabuto's face became a little frightened. Now that Sage mode is gone, under normal conditions, he can't even beat Itachi, let alone all these people. At this time, he heard that they wanted to using demonic illusion to force himself to unravel impure world reincarnation. A bad feeling arose in him immediately. Must run away, otherwise, it will definitely not end well in their hands. Kabuto's mind turned sharply, and suddenly he bit his finger and formed a seal. The art of psychic. Boom. He snorted softly, and suddenly a huge white smoke rose in the field, and a huge snake with a length of 100 meters appeared in front of everyone. Quick, take me out of here. Kabuto jumped, the giant snake opened its mouth, and Kabuto jumped directly into his mouth. The expressions of everyone could not help changing. Naruto, he's running away. Anko yelled urgently. But at this time, with a bang, the big snake instantly turned into a white smoke and disappeared in place. Damn, Zuiyu dropped her fist on the ground beside her, and with a bang, the ground split open, and she said with a face of resentment, it's too cunning to use a psychic beast to lead her to escape. Naruto, on the other hand, stood in the same place with a calm expression, but there was no impatience on his face. Itachi was also a little anxious, but after seeing Naruto's expression, the corners of his mouth twitched. Chapter 369 Remove Impure World Reincarnation. In the next instant, Naruto suddenly disappeared in front of everyone. Everyone looked puzzled. Why did you leave? However, just when everyone didn't know why, a golden light flashed in front of them. Naruto appeared in front of everyone again, and with him there was a white figure in his hand. Kabuto. Everyone was taken aback. What's going on? Yugao couldn't help asking. Zuoyu also had the same stunned expression on her face. Didn't he already escape? How did you get caught so quickly? Looking at Kabuto with a shocked expression on his face, everyone was surprised and happy at the same time, but also extremely puzzled. Naruto didn't speak, because at this time Kabuto's body had liquefied into a liquid and was about to escape from his hands. Just now he thought that he had successfully escaped from the scene with the time-space jump of the psychic technique. He didn't expect that he had not had time to rejoice, and was startled by a golden light in front of him. After recovering his body, he returned to the previous location before he had time to react in the next moment. He immediately used his liquefaction ability to escape from Naruto. However, at this moment, Zuoyu shot out instantly, and a lightning bolt flew out from her fingertips and landed on the liquefied Kabuto with a squeak. Chi. In an instant, the liquefied Kabuto trembled all over, grunted a few times, his body returned to its original state again, and the expression on his face was already a look of despair. How on earth did you do it? Kabuto asked Naruto in despair. Before Naruto could answer, Shiro suddenly stood up and smiled and said, have you forgotten Naruto's Hiraishin technique? As long as you are marked with the Hiraishin technique, it is like being engraved with a spell of death. You can't escape. Yes. Everyone was stunned. Bai, you are really smart. Why didn't I think of it? Zuo Yu said. Bai smiled slightly. Kabuto's face is full of disbelief. I have been very careful. When did you engrave the mark? Naruto said lightly. As early as the moment I first appeared, I set coordinates on you, so you are destined to escape. What? It was actually that time. Kabuto couldn't help but be surprised, and suddenly recalled the scene when he was punched by Naruto before. It turned out that he had carved coordinates on himself at that time. What a quick move. Kabuto broke out in a cold sweat. Okay, will you obediently untie Impure World Reincarnation next? Or do you want us to do it for you? Sayu's Mangekyo said coldly, staring at Kabuto. Ha 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 ha. However, Kabuto suddenly burst into laughter and shouted, even if you guys can defeat me and kill me, Impure World Reincarnation will still not be solved. There is no solution to this technique except my own will. What can you do with me? Humph. Idiot. Zuo Yu snorted, turned to look at Itachi and said, Brother, it's time to use the power you gave me. Itachi smiled and nodded. I originally planned to use other spells to control him, and then use Sharingan Demonic Illusion to make him give up Impure World Reincarnation, but doing that would cost a Sharingan. Now it seems that it is unnecessary, since we have already restrained it. Then it's up to you, Zuo Yu. Yeah, it just so happens that I will try that power too. Zuo Yu's mouth curled slightly. Don't let his eyes close. Kabuto couldn't resist at all. Under the stimulation of Sayu's thunder and lightning chakra, he couldn't use the ability of liquefaction at all, and he was restrained to death. At this moment, the snowflake-shaped Mangekyo in Sayu's left eye suddenly changed, and it instantly turned into the shape of a four-corner-ed windmill. This is the form of Shisui Mangekyo. Naruto was stunned for a moment, but Itachi gave Shisui's pupil power to Sayu. Although I can only use Shisui's pupil technique once, this kind of ability is too dangerous. After using it, it is the best result that I can't use it again. Zuo Yu said. At the same time, her left eye instantly turned to Got Kabuto's eyes. Koto Amatsukami. An invisible pupil power instantly injected into Kabuto's eyes, and Kabuto couldn't help shaking his body. Naruto released him, and everyone watched his reaction. Kabuto suddenly raised his head, his hands were slightly sealed, and he whispered, "Solution." As soon as the words fell, everyone, including Naruto, could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Huh, I finally solved this trouble. Anko cheered. Zuo Yu, I didn't expect you to have such a pupil technique. This isn't my pupil technique, it's the power that Brother Itachi gave me. Everyone looked at Weasel. Itachi said lightly, this pupil power was extracted from Uchiha Shisui's eyes. Before that, I set it to unlock Impure World Reincarnation, but unfortunately I no longer have the power to use it, so I gave it to Zoe, and it comes in handy now. Quote. So that's it, Itachi, you have done a great job this time. Naruto said with a slight smile. Yeah, Itachi, no matter what you did before, in short, you helped us a lot this time, and we should all thank you. Anko also said with a laugh. At this time, on the other battlefields, the people who were fighting discovered a strange phenomenon. The strong men of Impure World Reincarnation stopped one after another, and bursts of soft white light radiated from their bodies. What are these? Everyone looked at them in amazement. Suddenly, the white light on the people of Impure World Reincarnation suddenly flew into the sky, and then slowly dissipated, and their bodies gradually collapsed and turned into a piece of dust, leaving only the replaced containers inside. It looks like someone stopped Impure World Reincarnation. I don't know who it is it Naruto? The few difficult opponents kept disappearing, and I couldn't help but secretly relieved. Yeah, Kakashi, if someone stopped Impure World Reincarnation. These guys are so tough. Guy exclaimed. At this moment, a message from the ninja suddenly came. Commander Kakashi, a message from the headquarters, we can rest for a while. Oh, it seems that the other battlefields are also going well. Kakashi said with a smile. Haha, the fighting spirit is getting stronger and stronger. Although the headquarters wants me to rest, I still want to continue fighting. Guy exclaimed excitedly. Really, I'm already very tired. You still have so much energy. Chapter 370 Finally Meet. The release of Impure World Reincarnation instantly reduced the pressure on the Ninja Coalition forces. White Zetsu's strength was not outstanding. At this time, Naruto and the others were preparing to go back to Konoha with Kabuto. Itachi, come back to the village with us. I can use my technique to give you another careful treatment. Naruto looked at Itachi and said. Yeah, brother, you have done so much for the village, I believe everyone will understand you when you go back. Zuo-yu also advised. Itachi couldn't help but lowered his head and was silent for a while, but suddenly turned around and said lightly, this war is not over yet, and now I can't go back to the village. Huh, why is that? You can also fight with us. Zuo-yu shouted. Itachi turned his head and sighed, I think it's more free for me to act alone. Zuo-yu wanted to persuade him again, but Naruto suddenly nodded. Okay, it's your freedom to think like this, so take care of yourself. But. Okay, this is your brother's own choice, and we can't force him. Naruto held Sayu's shoulders and said slowly, now that his body has been treated by me once, it will not happen again in the short term. If there is a problem, and with his strength, it is very easy to protect yourself, so don't worry about it. Quote. Zuo-yu nodded and said no more. Itachi turned to look at Naruto and Zuo-yu, and said with a faint smile, Naruto, Zuo-yu will be handed over to you, you must protect her well. Naruto nodded, waved his hand, and made a reassuring gesture. Itachi jumped, and the figure disappeared from everyone's sight. Brother. Zuo-yu sighed slightly, she couldn't help but sigh, and hugged Naruto's arm for a long time speechless. In fact, she didn't understand what Itachi was worried about. For a person who killed his own family and killed his parents with his own hands, no matter what it was for, he couldn't go back to those days in his heart. Therefore, Naruto did not force him, and Zuo-yu did not insist. Okay, let's take Kabuto back first, then we must find Uchiha Madara and the Masked Man immediately, and end this war. Naruto looked at the girls and said. All the girls nodded and came to Naruto to prepare for the Hiraishin transfer. At this moment, a look of surprise flashed across Naruto's face, and his eyes turned to the horizon not far ahead. What's wrong, Naruto? Bai asked suspiciously. The surprised look on Naruto's face slowly disappeared, and a wry smile appeared instead. How did they get here? They, who are they? Zuo-yu couldn't help asking. At this time, three figures suddenly ran over from a distance, getting closer and closer. Who are they? The girls also saw those people at this time and asked in confusion. Naruto, Naruto, Naruto. The crisp shouts came from afar, and all the girls looked at Naruto with a strange look. In a short while, those few people finally flew to Naruto, and a girl with long Yuhi-colored hair and black-rimmed glasses who took the lead shouted Naruto's name loudly. Her face was dripping with sweat, and when she came to Naruto. Before that, he suddenly opened his arms and rushed towards Naruto's body. It's Karen. I finally found you. Woohoo. Boom. However, at the next moment, a figure suddenly stood in front of Naruto, and Karen's body collided with her. Hey, what are you doing? When Karen realized that he was not holding Naruto but a cold and pretty Sharingan girl, he hurriedly jumped away and shouted in dissatisfaction. What else do I want to ask you? If it weren't for your lack of murderous intentions, I would have slashed it with a knife. Zuo-yu, who was standing in front of Naruto, said with a displeased expression. You, who are you? What's wrong with me looking for my Naruto hug? Get out of the way. Karen finally saw the dream Naruto. Feeling unhappy, he held up his glasses and opened his mouth to shout. Humph, I'm Naruto's lover. Zuo-yu raised her head slightly and hummed. What? Karen immediately thought he heard it wrong, and asked Naruto in disbelief. Is what she said true? Naruto smiled bitterly and nodded. An instant, Karen's face collapsed. Unbelievable, impossible. It's impossible. How can you have a lover, Naruto? I've missed you for a long time. Hey, that's the truth. Sayu couldn't help laughing complacently when she saw Karen's battered face. Karen looked depressed. Interesting, he covered his mouth and smiled softly, while Enko gave Naruto a blank look. It seemed that the girl also liked Naruto very much. And Yugao just snorted and didn't speak, he was immune to it. Okay, we're going back now. What is the matter with the three of you suddenly coming here? If you're okay, don't get in our way. Zuo-yu waved her hand. Uchiha Seijutsu. At this moment, Tayuya, who was following Karen, suddenly said, "Don't come and be safe." Sasu looked at Tayuya and was stunned for a moment. Huh? Aren't you the demonic illusion female ninja under Orochimaru? It seems to be called Tayuya. Why did you show up? HMPH, you're still the same, it's unpleasant to pull. Duo-yu also snorted coldly. Just now, when she saw Zuo-yu talking to Karen in a condescending and victorious manner, Taiyu was also very upset. 3 years later, the way this woman is still pulling up is still annoying. Do you think she is amazing? Actually pretending to be Naruto's lover. A battle between women started quietly. And Yuhi Lien just stood behind Tayuya and Karen, silently observing the crowd. Her eyes finally stopped on Naruto, her expression flickering. At this time, Naruto was surprised by the appearance of Karen, Tayuya and Yuhirin. Why are you here? Also, who is that over there? Since he didn't have a deep impression of Yuhi Lien, Naruto didn't recognize her immediately. Hearing Naruto's words, Karen immediately pushed Sayu away and introduced him enthusiastically. Naruto, her name is Tayuya, she's a stinky bastard, that's Ms. Yuhi Lien over there, and her Kekkei Genkei is Jingdun, very strong. Damn it, what did you say? Believe it or not, I will tear your mouth apart. When Tayuya heard Karen's words, he suddenly became angry, rushed over and grabbed Karen, shouting, I have known this guy for a long time. There is no need for you to introduce me to him. Chapter 371 over. Huh, what's going on? Karen couldn't help but froze. Tayuya hummed. 3 years ago. I won't tell you the specifics. Hey, it's impossible. Don't get too close. I haven't heard you talk about it along the way. Karen couldn't believe it. Seeing their noisy appearance, Naruto shook his head helplessly, glanced at them, and said, I said now we should go back first. Karen, Tayuya, and Yuhi Lien, what do you look like? Came here to find me, what's the matter? Ah, that's it. It's nothing at all. It's just that people want to come and see you. Hearing Naruto ask, Karen suddenly became twisted. Yuhi's face dizzy shy look. Zuo-yu frowned secretly and glared at Naruto quietly, thinking, sure enough, this woman's target is also Naruto. Damn, how many girls has this guy Naruto offended? Why are there 3 more at once? The next moment, she couldn't help but stood up and pushed Karen, who was intoxicated and shy, and hummed, since it's nothing, people have seen it, we have to leave. Karen was stunned for a moment, then looked shocked, pushed Sayu away and rushed to Naruto's side, grabbed his arm and cried softly, Naruto. Don't go, don't leave me behind. Well. Cut. What a humiliating fellow. Taiyu also snorted when she saw Karen shamelessly pestering Naruto. Seeing that Karen actually hugged Naruto, Sasu was jealous, stepped forward to pull Karen away, and looked at the new enemy with a hostile expression. Hey, what kind of eyes are you looking at? You are a great Naruto lover. I want to be his lover too. Karen was stimulated, and immediately glared at her with a warlike expression. Zuo-yu frowned, and immediately hated her stalking appearance. Mangekyo's Sharingan instantly appeared in her eyes, and she directly used a demonic illusion. Forehead. Karen couldn't help trembling. His eyes were stunned, the next moment his body softened and he passed out. Naruto was startled when he saw this, hurriedly stepped forward and hugged her, frowning at Zuo-yu. Zuo-yu, what's wrong with you? She uses demonic illusion. Zuiyu was questioned by Naruto, her lips flattened, and she cried out in grievance, I'm not doing it for you. I'm entangled with a woman of unknown origin because I'm afraid you'll find it troublesome. But you can't use demonic illusion on her, and Karen's origin is not unknown. Naruto suddenly had a big head. Zuoyu glared at him with a resentful expression, and Naruto couldn't bear to look at the aggrieved look. Okay, Zuoyu, I just want to tell you that power is used on the enemy, and Karen is not our enemy. Naruto sighed slightly, reached out and stroked Zuoyu's soft jade back, comforting softly. She just got hit by my demonic illusion, and there's no danger to her life. At most, she was in a coma for a while. Although Zuoyu knew that she was a little impulsive, she was still very aggrieved after being trained by Naruto. Naruto can't help it. Zuoyu's temperament has always been like this. If it becomes docile and obedient, it will not be Zuoyu. Shaking his head, Naruto said, in that case, let's go back to the headquarters first. Oh, Zuoyu responded, and suddenly, her brows couldn't help but wrinkle. She let out a painful cry, and suddenly reached out to cover her eyes, staggered and almost fell to the ground. Naruto was shocked again, and hurriedly reached out to support her, and Bai and Yugao also stepped forward to support her. What's wrong, Zuoyu? Naruto said with a worried expression. It hurts. My eyes, it hurts. Zuoyu covered her eyes with her hands and groaned while leaning against Naruto's chest. Naruto's face changed slightly. Zuoyu's hands slowly moved away, those dark eyes became a little dim, and her vision of looking at Naruto couldn't help being a little blurry. At this moment, Bai Weiwei sighed and said, it seems that she used Mangekyo a little too much on the battlefield before. Why didn't you tell me? At the time she looked like she had no problem with driving, but now she seems to be holding on. Bai said with some remorse, if I had known this, I would have informed you earlier. It's alright, it's not your fault. Naruto smiled slightly, reached out and handed a life force behind Zuoyu's back, slowly moisturizing her body. Under Naruto's life force, Zuoyu immediately felt as if her body was surrounded by nature, nourished, an incomparably comfortable feeling spread, and a surge of drowsiness surged. Karen fell into a coma, and Zoe fell into a deep sleep. Naruto shook his head with a wry smile, handed the two to Bai and Anko, and said, let's go back now and talk about it. Karen's arrival, and Zoe's jealousy, made his head go big. Hey, are you going to take Karen away? Seeing that Naruto and the others were about to leave, Zuoyu couldn't help but say. Well, Karen is in a coma now, you two also go back with us. Naruto looked at them and said. Hey, don't make any arrangements for us. Who wants to be with you? Zuoyu also suddenly shouted. Naruto. Let's go take a look with him, we just have nothing to do right now. Yuhilian suddenly said. Sister Yuhilian, why did you suddenly change your mind? Taiyu also asked in surprise. I didn't say what to do next. Yuhilian said lightly. Zuoyu was speechless. Okay, since that's the case, let's meet at the headquarters together. Come over to me, I'm going to activate Hiraishin. Naruto said. Hiraishin. A gleam of light flashed in Yuhilian's eyes, and a strong curiosity appeared on his face. Taiyu is also looking forward to coming to Naruto. After everyone was ready, Naruto condensed the chakra slightly, and the next moment, with a swoosh, the group suddenly disappeared in place. When Naruto just appeared near the headquarters suddenly received a message. Uchiha Madara appeared on the battlefield. After defeating the third generation of Tsuchikage and the fifth generation of Kazekage, he left. A ninja reported. What? Uchiha Madara? How is this possible? Reikage Tsunade and Terumi Mei, who were in the headquarters, couldn't help looking at each other. Didn't that guy say that he doesn't have much power anymore? Why can he still defeat the two shadows? Terumi Mei pondered. The ninja explained, it's not the masked Uchiha Madara, but another one. According to the ninjas on the front lines, it's the real Uchiha Madara. Chapter 372 The Assault of Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path. What's the matter? Everyone seems surprised. Just when everyone was surprised by the appearance of Uchiha Madara, Naruto walked in with a group of women. Naruto, you are here. There is something I must tell you. The real Uchiha Madara has been resurrected. He appeared once before on the battlefield of Gaara and the third generation of Tsuchikage, and now both of them have been defeated and retreated. As soon as Tsunade saw Naruto, he stepped forward and said. Naruto couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, and then a golden light flashed, and his body disappeared in place. The golden light flashed, and Naruto instantly appeared in a tent. He happened to see Gaara and Onoki recovering their strength in the tent, while Temari sat beside him with a look of horror on his face. Naruto's sudden appearance made Temari's expression startled, and he hurriedly stood up and shouted, "It's unexpected. The real Uchiha Madara has been resurrected." Naruto waved his hand, patted her shoulder and comforted. "I know everything, don't worry about it, the situation is not bad now. Are you two okay?" He turned to look at Gaara and Gaara. "Onoki. It's not a big problem, it's just a bit too much consumption. Uchiha Madara doesn't seem to want to kill us, otherwise we will be wiped out," Onoki said with lingering fear. As expected, he was a figure who settled the world in the first generation. Naruto frowned thoughtfully. At this moment, a strong tremor suddenly came from the ground, and an invisible pressure in the air instantly fell on everyone. "What's going on?" Onoki was startled. Naruto and Temari rushed out of the camp, only to see a huge monster appearing out of thin air on the ground not far in front of the camp. Yugito and Killer Bee were flying towards the giant monster. Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path. Naruto recognized it at a glance, and he couldn't help but be surprised. Absorb the chakra of Silver's corner so quickly. What kind of monster is that? Temari couldn't help trembling when he felt the powerful pressure emanating from that guy. "Temari, don't come over here, I'll go take a look," Naruto instructed, and in a flash, he rushed towards Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path. "Naruto," Temari called, biting Kiba slightly, but immediately followed. Above the head of Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path, the masked man stood there quietly, condescendingly watching the ninja coalition forces coming in like a tide. "HMPH, although I haven't collected the complete Kyuubi, 9 tails, but now I can use a substitute for it. Let's try your power first." With a seal, Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path, suddenly let out a furious roar into the sky. "Ow!" Naruto flashed golden light and appeared in front of Yugito and Killer Bee in an instant. When he saw the masked man on the huge Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path, he couldn't help but waved his hand back, signaling everyone to stop quickly. "Don't come here, dangerous," Naruto shouted and leapt up. At this moment, Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path, suddenly threw a punch, which rolled up an extremely violent hurricane and slammed into the ninja coalition. The allied ninja army couldn't help being shocked. Naruto hand-sealed with both hands, and chakra poured out, Mokuden wood-style world of trees wall. Boom! The ground suddenly cracked, and an incomparably thick tree stem suddenly rose from the ground, swaying up against the arm of Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path. The stalk, as thick as the arm of Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path, tied it directly around its arm. Ow! However, Geto Mazo, Demonic Statue of the Outer Path, is so powerful that Naruto is strong enough to trap Kyuubi, 9 tails' Mokuden, wood style, but can't completely restrain him. That its arm suddenly pulled, Naruto's Mokuden, wood style, was instantly torn apart, and then he raised his huge soles and kicked Naruto fiercely towards Naruto in midair. Although it is huge, its attack speed is not slow at all. Naruto has no time to use Mokuden, wood style, to resist. The figure flashed, and a Hiraishin technique returned to Yugito in an instant. "Are you all right?" 6 generations of eyes. This series of battles only happened in an instant, and after Naruto returned, Yugito couldn't help but care. I'm fine, but this guy's strength is really strong. Naruto shook his head, with an unspeakable excitement on his face. It seems that we must use stronger strength to deal with him. Swish! A dazzling golden light flashed from Naruto's body, and an incomparably powerful momentum suddenly spread out. Naruto's figure flashed, and the next moment, a straight golden light swept across his body toward the Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, flew away. Natural mode. In this form, is he serious? Yugito couldn't help thinking. The masked man narrowed his eyes slightly, seeing the golden light rushing towards the ultimate, and there was a dignified look in his eyes. Super Big Ball Rasengan. Suddenly, an incomparably huge blue Rasengan instantly appeared in midair, with a diameter of 100 meters. Under this powerful energy, a strong gust of wind instantly surged around, causing everyone to retreat. What a strong chakra! At this moment, Naruto's massive chakra once again had a deeper understanding in the minds of the ninja allied forces. The next moment, Naruto held the incomparably huge Rasengan with one hand and slammed into the body of Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. Facing this incomparably huge Rasengan, the masked man couldn't help but snorted coldly. Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, instantly blocked his way with his hands. Boom! Rasengan, which is equivalent to most of the body of Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, touches its hands in an instant. Immediately afterwards, a dazzling white light blazed up, illuminating the surroundings. And the ground beneath Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, was directly depressed by this powerful force, cracking open layer by layer like a spider web. Naruto squinted slightly, chakra continued to output, and Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, was pushed back and slid out, drawing a deep trajectory on the ground. Finally, when Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, retreated a few hundred meters back, it finally stopped. At this time, Naruto's giant Rasengan finally disappeared. He fell to the ground, looked up, and saw that Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path's hands were still in their original positions, but the huge palms were constantly emitting green smoke. It's actually blocked. It's really strong. This guy. Seeing this, Naruto's face became more fighting. However, just as he rushed up again, there was a loud bang in front of him, and in an instant Geto-Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, body turned into a huge white smoke and disappeared in place. Chapter 373, The Night of the Final Battle. Uzumaki Naruto, I'll be here first this time, next time it won't make you so easy. The masked man slowly landed in midair, looking at Naruto from a distance and said. Although the two were far apart, his voice was clearly heard in Naruto's ears. I advise you to give up. As long as I'm here, your plan will never succeed. Even if you resurrect the 10 tails, it won't help. Naruto responded coldly. The masked man squinted his eyes slightly, stared at him coldly for a while, and suddenly said with a smile, It's almost dark now, when the moon is full at midnight, let's wait and see. After speaking, his body slowly disappeared into the space. A Hiraishin technique returned to the headquarters, and after Naruto told everyone about what happened before, Tsunade and others all looked worried. Should we just wait for them to attack now? Hokage sighed. At least we should do something. Yeah, it's better to take the initiative instead of sitting still. Tsunade responded. The people around also agreed. Naruto shook his head and said, The key is that we don't know where the other party is now. The masked man's time-space ninjutsu can avoid our wide-ranging perception, and they won't show up easily until the critical moment. But when they got everything ready, didn't we fall into passive? Terumi Mei said. Naruto frowned slightly and said, These are not important. I think it is time to withdraw all the ninja coalition forces first. After all, the White Zetsu forces have almost been wiped out. The only troublesome enemies are the masked man and Uchiha Madara. All retreat. Everyone was surprised. Tsunade looked at him and said, You mean, only send our high-end forces here to fight them? Naruto nodded. That's right, no ordinary ninja can fight against that kind of opponent, we are enough. Although the level difference is too big, the ninja allied forces are numerous enough to make up for the difference in strength. Terumi May asked. No, Naruto shook his head, looked at her and said, sometimes, no matter how large the number is, it can't offset the difference in level. If you force it, it will only increase unnecessary casualties. How about when Kyuubi, Ninetales, attacked Konoha? Could the many ninjas of Konoha village be able to resist its attack without the 4 generations of Hokage? Everyone heard the words and fell into deep thought. Order the troops to retreat. Raikage waved and finally made a decision. Naruto smiled slightly. Very. Now we have to form a Kage-level lineup for the final battle. Everyone's spirits cannot help but shocked. I'm going to. At this moment, a crisp voice came. Everyone turned their heads to look, but it turned out to be Zuo-Yu, and with her were the 3 groups of Bai, Yugao, Enko, and Karen. Are you all right? Naruto asked. Zuo-Yu shook her head. Take a rest, it's nothing serious now. Naruto, you must bring me with you in the final battle. She looked at him firmly, her eyes full of non-negotiable expressions. Naruto looked at her for a long time, and finally nodded. Okay, but you must follow my instructions. Naruto, what about me? I'm also very useful. Hearing that Naruto agreed to Sayu's request, Karen also rushed up and pulled him in a coquettish voice. Naruto glanced at her, and Karen said attentively, I can restore your strength for everyone. As long as you bite me, the chakra will be full. Karen stretched out her white jade arm. The person swayed in front of his eyes and shouted proudly. Zoe snorted coldly. Although the two of them didn't like each other well before, but this time is already a critical moment related to the final battle. Karen's ability is indeed very practical, so even if Zuo-Yu is a little uncomfortable, he still has no objection. After a brief discussion, the crew was finally determined. The 5 shadows including Tsunade, and Jiraiya, and Sakura, Shiro, Karen, Yuhiren, Sakura. Others were not allowed to go. Hey, this wide forehead is not very powerful at all, right? Why can't she go and I can't go? Taiyu also snorted when she saw that both Yuhiren and Karen had gone, but she was excluded. Sakura's medical ninjutsu is very powerful. She and Tsunade-sama are medical personnel in the lineup. Naruto explained with a smile. Humph. Zuo-Yu pouted in disgust. The strength of these selected people is basically around the Kage level. Bai and Yuhilian also have the strength of Quasi-Shadow, plus the special Hyoten, Ice Style, and Jingdun. Their strength is also very good. Okay, it's settled. Next, everyone will prepare for each other. Once we sense the appearance of the other party, we will dispatch it. Naruto announced, and then let Yamanaka Inoichi and others fully perceive the entire situation in the ninja world, and notify everyone once a powerful chakra appears. Planning everything, Naruto used the Hiraishin technique to bring Gaara and Onoki back to the headquarters, and then returned to the lounge for a rest. To be honest, Naruto's current strength is no longer afraid of Uchiha Madara and the Masked Man. After solving the troubles of Impure World Reincarnation and the massive White Zetsu, this ninja world war has actually come to an end, and the next peak battle will only take a few minutes. Personal participation is enough. Naruto is looking forward to this fight. Since comprehending the natural pattern, he has not tasted the taste of evenness. This time, I hope the so-called Ten-Tails and Madara can bring a little challenge. Also, there are some unexplored areas in natural mode to experiment with. It's time to try this battle, Naruto said secretly. Just then, there was a knock on the door of the lounge. Naruto, are you there? A crisp and soft voice came from outside the door. Before Naruto could speak, the door opened. Karen with long Yuhi-colored hair sneaked in, with an excited look on his face. When she saw Naruto resting on the couch, she couldn't help showing a bright smile on her face. Naruto, how are you resting? Naruto opened his eyes and looked at her. Karen, what's the matter? Hee, it's all right. I just wanted to come and see what you need here. Karen grinned and ran to Naruto and sat down, sighing at Naruto. Chapter 374 Final Battle 1. Naruto looked at her strangely. Why are you looking at me like this? When he met Naruto's slightly wary eyes, Karen suddenly became dissatisfied and angered. I won't eat you. However, Karen's tone suddenly changed. Naruto, let me massage you. No need. Naruto refused. No, Naruto, you are so tired from fighting during the day. Now before the final battle, you must rest as much as possible. I will help you massage to make you more relaxed. Naruto's refusal was useless. Karen went straight around behind him, a soft jade hand placed on Naruto's shoulder. It's really comfortable. When Karen started pinching Naruto's shoulders seriously, Naruto couldn't help but let out a slight sigh. I didn't expect her massage techniques to be good. Karen, you're amazing. Naruto laughed. Of course, I have more powerful means. Do you want to try, Naruto? Hearing Naruto's compliment, Karen immediately laughed happily, attached himself to his ear and blew lightly, then the warm breath suddenly penetrated into Naruto's ears. Before Naruto could react, a soft touch came from behind. Naruto was stunned for a moment, then turned his head, but it happened to meet the light yui-colored eyes behind Karen's lenses. Naruto, are you comfortable? Karen's body moved up and down, and the soft and elastic jade maiden peaks on her chest were constantly rubbing against Naruto's back, bringing Naruto incomparable enjoyment. Hey, are you going too far? Naruto's heart skipped a beat, secretly saying that it was bad. She really had bad intentions. How could that be? Naruto, I'm here to help you with a very sincere idea. Karen said with a smile, her white and jade-like face getting closer and closer, and finally sticking directly to Naruto's face at the same time. His arms also embraced him from behind. Feeling the girly fragrance blowing from Karen's body, and the scent of orchid and musk in Karen's mouth, Naruto became a little uneasy. It's hard for me to rest like this. Unable to bear it, Naruto finally pushed her away and looked at her helplessly. After being pushed away by Naruto, Karen's face became even more excited. That's great. Naruto, I like a man like you with integrity. Saying that, she rushed towards Naruto again. Just then, the door was suddenly kicked open with a bang. Sayu stood at the door angrily, staring murderously at Karen, who was trying to attack Naruto. You dead nympho, stay away from Naruto. Sayu rushed in and grabbed her collar. Do you still want to try my demonic illusion? Seeing Zuoyu looking so angry, Naruto hurried forward to pull her and Karen away, and persuaded, okay, you two stop arguing, isn't this place for me to rest? How can I rest in this way? When the two women heard the words, they stopped arguing immediately, and both stopped and walked out. I'm here to help Naruto rest, you stinky woman yelled as soon as you came in, making Naruto rest. Karen yelled at Sayu in dissatisfaction and left angrily. Zuoyu hurriedly chased out angrily, and an angry voice came from afar. If it wasn't for you, a dead nympho, who wanted to be rude to Naruto, I wouldn't disturb Naruto's rest. You bastard. Cut. You're an asshole. You're an asshole. 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 The quarrel between the two gradually faded away. Naruto sat down with a wry smile, and looked out the window at the dark night. The full moon gradually rose, and his heart was a little uneasy. Final battle. Is it finally coming? Uchiha Madara, Masked Man, 10 Tails. I will never let you do anything reckless. In a huge barrier somewhere in the ninja world, Masked Man, Uchiha Madara, is standing above the head of a giant monster, looking out into the distance to the horizon. Madara, with your infinite chakra and infinite resurrection body, no one should be your opponent, right? Our Moon Eye plan will be realized soon. The Masked Man said in a slightly excited tone. Madara looked at him blankly, but said nothing. Suddenly, he narrowed his eyes slightly and said, Uzumaki Naruto, we must kill him first. Masked Man was stunned, Are you also afraid of him? He's a very strong person, at least the strongest person I've ever met other than the first generation, and, maybe he will be even stronger than the first generation. Masked Man was silent for a while, then said coldly, no matter how strong he is, after Ten Tails is resurrected, he will never be our opponent. Let's wait and see. They must have discovered us by now, and the energy of the Ten Tails has overflowed the enchantment. In the headquarters of the Ninja Alliance, the five shadows headed by Naruto, as well as Tsunade, Jiraiya, Sayu, Shiro, Karen, and Yuhi Lien stand beside Naruto. Everyone's eyes are full of fighting spirit. Yuhi Lianbin has no interest in this war, but after hearing the specific content of the Moon Eyes plan, she also resolutely joins and is willing to give her all for this. Only allowed to win, not allowed to lose. Swish, everyone disappeared in place of fire and the village of Omegakure. Naruto and his party finally came here. Looking at the flat land ahead, Naruto suddenly stepped forward and punched the current air. Boom! There was a sound, and the whole air couldn't help shaking. It's an enchantment. Everyone was slightly startled, and Naruto's eyes flashed. The next moment, he raised his palm, and a dark Yuhi-colored chakra ball the size of a basketball was instantly generated in his palm. Boom! Dark Yuhi-colored chakra ball instantly hit the barrier in front of him. Click, click. The crisp sound came continuously, and I saw that the space in front of me was like shattered glass, and layers of cobweb-like cracks spread to the surrounding in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the entire space in front of him shattered, and with a bang, the barrier shattered. Ow! At the same time, a huge roar came from it. A huge monster was lying on the ground, and a huge black energy ball slowly gathered in the wide-open mouth on its ugly head. The faces of the five shadows changed in unison. No, it's Tailed Beast Bomb. Jiraiya was startled, and quickly used the psychic technique, summoning two big toad fairies, sitting on his shoulders, and immediately entered the Sage Mode. Chapter 375 Final Battle 2. Hokage also turned on the Thor armor instantly, and the thunder light shone on his body. Others have also entered a state of battle. It's really fast in action. I wanted to use this barrier to delay time, but I didn't expect you to find it out so quickly. Madara stood at Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. No, it was Ten Tails said lightly above his head. The power has not been accumulated yet, it will take a little time. The masked man whispered to Madara. Before that, we must hold them back and let the Ten Tails' power be full. At this moment, the pitch-black tailed beast bomb that Ten Tails had said was the size of his entire head sprayed towards Naruto and the others. The corners of Naruto's mouth twitched slightly, and he stretched out even numbers to simply make a few seals. The next moment, the huge tailed beast bomb disappeared in front of everyone in an instant. Boom! There was a loud bang, and a strong white light suddenly rose from the sea in the distance. Humph! This kid's time-space ninjutsu is trouble. The masked man snorted coldly. It's really good. Madara smiled excitedly when she saw this. I'll keep this guy under my control. Go and deal with that group of people. Figure flashed. Madara came to Naruto in an instant, and the fan of the weapon behind him slashed towards Naruto. Naruto jumped, stepped on the fan with his toes, and suddenly kicked Madara's head with his legs. Ha, good job. Madara laughed loudly, reached out to block Naruto's attack, grabbed it violently, and threw him out. At this time, the masked man had already jumped off the top of Ten Tails' head and rushed towards Hokage and the others. Leave this guy to us. You guys look for opportunities to attack Ten Tails. Hokage shouted, and rushed towards the masked man. Others are looking at the Ten Tails who are accumulating strength. Their eyes are full of solemn colors. Hyoten, ice style, frozen 1,000 miles. Bai was the first to shoot, and with a light drink, a layer of white ice condensed on the ground where the Ten Tails were located, and the cold air instantly reached the Ten. Frozen the entire body on Tails' body. However, in less than a second of freezing, Ten Tails' body suddenly burst, with a crisp sound, and the white Hyoten ice style shattered instantly, turning into ice chips flying on the ground. Crystal escape crystal wall 8 techniques. The moment Hyoten ice style shattered, Yuhi Lotus, crystal escape took over, and a layer of Yuhi-colored crystals instantly covered the entire 10 tails body, forming a giant octagonal Yuhi-colored clear crystal. However, in the same situation, it only lasted for a second before being shaken by 10 tails, and it all shattered. Cut. What a big monster. Yuhi-lian snorted coldly. 10 tails can't be broken so easily. The masked man who was fighting Hokage sneered when he saw that everyone else was attacking 10 tails. Swish. Flashed, and Hokage's fist passed through the masked man's body. Just as he was about to use Kamui, Hokage's body flashed in another place. Sure enough, a strong physique is a big trouble. At this time, Naruto and Madara also fought hard. Naruto has not entered natural mode at this time, but it is not bad compared to Madara at this time. Boom. The two punched each other, and a wave of air spread around, and they all stepped back. Sure enough, you are the strongest among the 5 shadows. They are not on the same level as you at all. Madara couldn't help but praise. Naruto pouted and said coldly, you should also show some strength, right? Otherwise, I won't have time to fight with you. If that's the case, I'll show it a little bit. Madara suddenly put her hands together and folded her hands together. Mokuden wood style World of Trees wall. Naruto frowned slightly, and in an instant, countless thick tree stems appeared on the ground, rushing towards the place where Naruto was. Then I'll use Mokuden wood style too. Naruto also quickly made a few marks on his hands, and in the next instant, countless tree stems frantically poured out of the ground, welcoming the tree stems summoned by Madara. Go up. Mokuden wood style of both sides are quickly entangled, and neither can suppress the other. Hey, I heard that you can also play Mokuden wood style before, but now I finally see it. I didn't expect you to know. Could it be that you are a descendant of Hashirama? Madara's face flashed a hint of surprise, but then he laughed excitedly. However, I don't know what's going on with your Mokuden wood style. Try my trick. Mokuden wood style flower world of trees wall. As soon as the voice fell, countless huge stamens suddenly burst out from the top of Madara's stem, and among the stamens, countless pollen rushed towards Naruto. A little trick of carving insects. Naruto's hands changed a few seals in an instant, and the next moment, a gust of wind rushed forward, and the pollen rolled back in an instant. As futon wind style ninjutsu also so powerful. Not bad. Really good. Madara's face became even more excited, as if she had found a long-lost opponent, looking at Naruto's eyes full of fighting spirit. Boom. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan opens. A raging dark purple chakra materialized into a huge warrior figure dozens of meters high, enclosing Madara's body. Mangekyo Sharingan Upanishad Susanoo. Man. Gust of wind surged to the front of Madara, and was completely blocked by the materialized chakra, which had no effect at all. The man of Susanoo. It seems that it is your turn to appear. The art of psychic Kyuubi, 9 tails. Naruto suddenly pressed one hand on the ground, and the next moment a white smoke rose up. The giant Kyuubi, 9 tails, roared and stood proudly in front of Susanoo's man. Uchiha Madara. Kyuubi, 9 tails, exclaimed when he saw an acquaintance as soon as he appeared. Kyuubi, 9 tails. You guy has changed owners now. Humph. Madara sneered, and Mangekyo Sharingan looked Kyuubi, 9 tails directly in the eyes. Naruto frowned and said coldly, don't try to impose demonic illusion on Kyuubi, 9 tails with me, all your demonic illusions will be nullified. Good Naruto. It's been a long time since I saw Uchiha Madara. Let's kill him together. With Naruto's backing, Kyuubi, 9 tails, who was a little afraid of Madara at first, became very hard at this time and roared wildly. Humph. Do you think that you can deal with me with more Kyuubi, 9 tails? Madara sneered, and dashed forward. Susanoo's man attacked Kyuubi, 9 tails, instantly. Don't underestimate this old man. Hearing Madara's contemptuous tone, Kyuubi Ninetales instantly became furious. Naruto, buy some time for this old man. This old man will kill him with one blow. I saw that he opened his mouth and condensed a tailed beast bomb half the size of his body, and it was still expanding. This guy seems to have a lot of resentment towards me. Madara's eyes narrowed slightly when she saw this, and her pupil power surged out, and Susanoo's man's body swelled up a little in an instant. Chapter 376 Final Battle 3. At this moment, Naruto standing above Kyuubi Ninetales' head quickly hand seal with both hands, the art of Mokuden wood style. In an instant, countless thick tree stalks burst out from the ground beneath Madara's feet, quickly surrounding him along the surface of his Susanoo man. Cut. However, the sharp sword in Susanoo's man's hand swung out instantly, cutting off the stalks of the trees that kept moving all over his body, and then quickly charged towards Kyuubi Ninetales. Mokuden wood style wood locking wall. Naruto's handprint changed again, the ground shook with a bang, and a thick door made of pure wood was erected in front of Kyuubi Ninetales with a height of hundreds of meters and a width of more than 10 meters. Across the front. However, Uchiha Madara stared directly, and a black flame spewed out from the mouth of Susanoo's man, forming a raging fire wave, completely covering Naruto's wood locking wall. The fire of Amaterasu. What trouble? Naruto murmured, and suddenly jumped from the top of Kyuubi Ninetales' head toward the black flame. Kyuubi Ninetales couldn't help but be surprised. Hey! Naruto, are you courting death? The next moment, Naruto, who was in midair, quickly hand-sealed with both hands. Just as he was about to fall into the black flames, he slammed one hand toward the sea of fire below, and snorted, sealing technique evil fire seal. Suddenly, a special suction force came out from Naruto's palm, and the fire of Amaterasu that was burning on the wood locking wall was instantly attracted, and all gathered into a small stream into Naruto's palm. Sealing technique. This guy really knows a lot. Madara snorted coldly upon seeing this. Amaterasu was completely absorbed, revealing the wood locking wall, which was riddled with black holes and crumbling. At this time, Kyuubi Ninetales' large-tailed beast bomb was finally completed. Naruto, get out of the way. I'm going to attack. Kyuubi Ninetales let out a loud roar, and Naruto flashed a golden light before returning to the top of Kyuubi Ninetales' head, only to see a giant-tailed beast bomb that was as long as Kyuubi Ninetales' entire body. Formed in front of him, the powerful energy pressed the entire space as if it was about to tremble. The next moment, Kyuubi Ninetales roared with difficulty, and the giant-tailed beast bomb immediately blasted towards Uchiha Madara in front of him. Kyuubi Ninetales, is this crazy? Use so many chakras at one time. Madara couldn't help but look shocked. However, a disdainful arc appeared on the corner of his mouth. How can a tailed beast who only uses chakra indiscriminately be compared to me? Just let you see my true strength. Boom. Ground suddenly trembled. Madara's Susanoo's male body suddenly soared, and an incomparably arrogant and domineering force spread out around him. 5 shadows, Zuo-Yu, and the others were all shocked and turned their heads to look at the battlefield between Naruto and Madara. At the next moment, the scene where they entered their eyes was completely beyond their cognition. They saw a huge warrior phantom with a height of several hundred meters standing proudly between the sky and the earth, with both hands on the samurai sword at his waist, Ling Ran's domineering flutter spread out. And Kyuubi Ninetales in front of him, like a child lying in front of an adult, is so weak and powerless, and the giant-tailed beast bomb he used, in the eyes of the giant warrior, is just a humble normal attack. This is the man of the full Susanoo. Madara snorted softly. Tremble. Mortals. No one but Hashirama has been able to stop me so far. Tsunade and the others were shocked. In front of this complete Susanoo man, everyone seemed so insignificant. Is this the strength of Uchiha Madara? Naruto is going to be in danger. Zuo-Yu couldn't help but get anxious. I'm going to help him. Mangekyo Sharingan turned on, And Susanoo's man of Sayu also turned on instantly, and the huge samurai phantom flew towards Uchiha Madara. "Don't go, Zuiyu," everyone couldn't help but exclaimed. At this moment, Madara suddenly pulled out the long knife from her waist and slashed at the giant-tailed beast bomb of Kyuubi, Nine Tails. Swish! A dim light flashed, and in the next instant, the huge-tailed beast bomb with a diameter of 100 meters suddenly split into two parts, and flew out from the sides of Madara's giant warrior phantom to the mountain forest behind. Boom! Boom! The two energy balls landed, and a strong explosion erupted on the ground in an instant, and two giant mushroom clouds rose behind everyone. The ground was shaking, and everyone was shocked. "It's terrible. Is this still human?" Naruto. Zuiyu let out a coquettish cry, and her Susanoo man rushed towards Madara without hesitation. "Humph! It's too much." Madara glanced at her, and with a slight wave of the long knife in her hand, it instantly slashed on the shadow of Susanoo's male phantom. "Don't come here, Zuiyu," Naruto exclaimed, but when he was about to stop it, he realized that it was too late. Madara's knife was too fast. Boom! A loud bang, the upper body of Susanoo's man's upper body was cut in half, the phantom dissipated, and her body quickly retreated back. "Zuiyu, are you alright?" Bai hurriedly stepped forward to catch her, but saw a shocking trace of blood flow from her eyes on Zuoyu's face. I'm fine," Zuoyu groaned, covering her eyes with her hands and trembling. "It's okay, what's wrong with your eyes?" Bai couldn't help but look anxious. Zuoyu spread out her hands, her palms were full of blood, her eyes were bleak, and the Sharingan in her eyes could no longer be maintained, and returned to the original black pupils. She bit Kiba and shook her head. When she looked at Naruto in the distance, her vision became very blurry. "Hateful, are your eyes overused so quickly?" "Do not, I still have to fight. Never let Naruto deal with the enemy alone." Zuoyu tried her best to stand up straight, gasping for a while, "Mangekyo. Sharingan, ah!" However, before she could open her eyes again, a sharp pain came from her eyes. She couldn't help groaning again. In a coma. This is the consequence of overcomprehension. Madara glanced at Zuoyu from a distance and sneered. Naruto's face sinks like water. "Kyuubi, Nine Tails, now it's your turn to hold him back for a while. I'll go to Zuoyu to see the situation." "Understood. Go, he'll leave it to this old man." Kyuubi, Nine Tails, nodded, and John Kiba lunged towards Madara. Naruto flashed a golden light, and his figure instantly appeared beside Zuiyu and Shiro. Without much to say, he reached out and pressed her head directly, and a burst of life force poured into her body. Chapter 377 Final Battle 4. "Okay, Shiro, take Zuoyu back to rest first. No one can be hurt in this battle." After treating Zuoyu with the power of life, Naruto turned his attention to Junghiju. People in battle. Kyuubi, Nine Tails, was brutally abused by Madara's Susanoo man, and had stab wounds all over his body. Reikage and the masked man fight hard. Five Shadows, Jiraiya and others attacked Ten Tails without any effect. "Enough, it's time for this to end," Naruto murmured. A golden light flashed, and the next moment, his figure appeared above Kyuubi, Nine Tails' head. "Phew, this old man can't hold it anymore." Kyuubi, Nine Tails burst backwards, gasping for breath. At this time, Ten Tails had almost finished charging up. Masked Man avoided Reikage's attack and returned to the top of Ten Tails. Madara also suddenly withdrew the full-body Susanoo's man and returned to the Masked Man. "It seems that the strength of Ten Tails has almost accumulated," Madara said lightly. Masked Man nodded. "Yeah, they will be able to implement the Infinite Moon Blasphemy once it's resolved. It's a pity, I finally met a good opponent." Madara glanced at Naruto from a distance and muttered. "If you still want to fight him, just go down and let me control the Ten Tails." The Masked Man Obito said lightly. Madara glanced at him slightly, a sharp look flashed in her eyes. "No, Naruto, Ten Tails has awakened. I can feel his vast power, as if it came from the whole of nature. Kyuubi, Nine Tails, looked at Ten Tails in horror and said, "Dangerous, back away." At this moment, Naruto suddenly called out to the five shadows and the others at the foot of Ten Tails. At the same time, Ten Tails suddenly roared, and an incomparably violent wave of air emanated from him in an instant, shaking the surrounding earth. Moreover, his body suddenly shot out countless sharp rays. The wooden thorns poured down towards the surrounding sky like a torrential rain, directly covering the entire surrounding battlefield. Doden, Earth-style, Big Rock. Onoki quickly summoned an incomparably huge rock to hang over everyone's heads, blocking all the thorns. The 10 long tails behind Ten Tails suddenly rose high, and then suddenly shot towards the place where the 5 shadows were. "No, get out of the way." Facing the crazy attack of the 10 tails, the crowd didn't have time to attack. Onoki threw the boulder up, trying to block the 10 tails, but the next moment, there was only a bang. The huge rock was directly torn apart, and 10 tails, tail was castrated, and it slammed down towards the crowd. At this moment, a fiery Yuhi-colored figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone, and he stretched out his claws and hugged the giant tail of Ten Tails. "Good job!" Naruto exclaimed, jumped, and rushed directly to the top of his head along the giant tail of Ten Tails. Along the way, he reached out and pressed a spatial coordinate on Ten Tails. Just when Madara and the masked man thought Naruto was going to rush towards them, Naruto suddenly flashed and quickly moved to the other 9 tails of 10 tails, setting dozens of spatial coordinates all over his body. The masked man and Madara looked at each other suspiciously. At this moment, Naruto flashed a golden light and returned to the top of Kyuubi, 9 Tails. "Kyuubi, 9 Tails, back away. Next, I will gather up my strength to kill 10 tails in one go," Naruto said. A golden light flashed from his body, and he immediately entered the natural mode. The 5 shadows also stepped back one after another, looking at Naruto standing above Kyuubi, 9 Tails, head in doubt. Naruto suddenly closed his eyes, standing on top of Kyuubi, 9 Tails, head and slowly forming a seal. "What is that guy doing?" Suddenly there is a bad premonition. A look of surprise flashed in the masked man's eyes. The next moment, he directly controlled 10 tails to spit out a huge-tailed beast towards Naruto. Bomb! Upon seeing this, Kyuubi, 9 Tails, knew that Naruto had no time to think about it, so he quickly gathered his chakra and spit out a tailed beast bomb from his mouth, but compared to 10 Tails, his obviously one size smaller. Boom! The two collided fiercely, and in the next instant, the tailed beast bomb of 10 Tails, along with the tailed beast bomb of Kyuubi, 9 Tails, bounced directly toward the sky above Naruto. Phew! Fortunately, he successfully changed his trajectory. That direction should be the ocean. Tsunade and the others were slightly relieved upon seeing this. At this moment, the space behind Naruto suddenly spun, and the figure of the masked man suddenly appeared behind him. Naruto was slightly startled, but at this time his technique was at a critical moment, and he must not give up. "Humph! No matter what the hell you're doing, I'll kill you now," the masked man snorted coldly and pressed his hand directly to Naruto's head. Rinnegan soul-sucking. However, just as his palm was about to touch Naruto's head, countless pieces of paper suddenly floated in the sky, passing through the masked man's body like a sharp sword, and the masked man's palm could only passing through Naruto's head. No effective attack can be made. Conan. The masked man turned his head and looked into the air, only to see a woman wearing a black Yuhi cloud robe standing in the air. Behind her was a pair of white wings made up of pieces of paper, with countless numbers all over her body. The paper swirled and danced. "You didn't die. I didn't expect that you bitch came out to hurt me." The masked man was startled. The next moment, he hurriedly jumped off the top of Kyuubi, 9 Tails, and returned to Madara. "Thank you." Naruto turned his back to Conan. His body was actually getting stronger and stronger, and he said with a smile, "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to complete this technique. Now it's activated." Conan fell beside Naruto and said lightly, "I'm here to avenge Nagato." Naruto glanced at her slightly and smiled lightly. The next moment, the seals in his hand slammed together, and at the same time, a strange energy wave emanated from him, and the entire space couldn't help shaking. Everyone was shocked. Madara and the masked man, who were standing above Ten Tails' head, narrowed their eyes slightly and looked vigilant. Suddenly, Naruto shouted, "The great space-time sealing technique!" In an instant, where Ten Tails was located, dozens of spatial fluctuations suddenly appeared, as if it was Uzumaki, and it spread out. And the place where these spatial fluctuations occurred is exactly where Naruto marked the space on Ten Tails before, and the space in these places is pulling with a terrifying force, sucking Ten Tails' body. Ooh! Ten Tails finally felt pain. All the previous Hyoten, Ice Style, Jingdun, Kaden Fire Style, Doden, Earth Style, Jinten Particle Style, could not bring him any pain, but only this once, he felt his whole body being torn apart by a force so huge that even he couldn't resist. Madara finally burst into color. Chapter 378 Final Battle 5. What kind of ninjutsu is this? The masked man exclaimed. It seems that the whole time and space are shaking. Madara's face was also shocked. This kind of time and space ninjutsu, even I can't master. Who is this guy? He is so powerful at such a young age. No, Ten Tails is out of my control. It's going to go berserk. The masked man shuddered, and the next moment he flashed. He quickly escaped from this turbulent space. Madara directly turned on Susanoo's man and jumped off Ten Tails' head. Too dangerous. If you stay there again, you may implicate yourself. At this time, Naruto was squinting his eyes, chakra pouring out of his body. This ninjutsu is the result of his research on the technique of time and space, and it has never been used in actual combat, because this trick consumes a lot of chakra and energy. Even Naruto, it is very difficult to seal the entire Ten Tails at this time. Hard to say. After all, the once perfect Ten Tails couldn't be killed even by the Six Paths Immortal, so he could only seal him on the moon with Rinnegan, and this time, although Ten Tails did not become a complete body, it was already awakened at this time. The power is unparalleled, and Naruto's time-space seal seems a bit difficult at this moment. Ten Tails are the source of nature, and its power comes from the whole of nature, which shows its horror. And Naruto's natural model can also use the power of the entire natural world. When the two compete, who wins? Who is responsible? No one can predict. Everyone is watching the competition between the two in the field. Naruto's body was full of golden light, and the surrounding natural power rushed into his body, and the time-space seal was also consuming his power crazily. I saw where Ten Tails was, and everyone couldn't see the scene there at all. There was only a space turbulence that seemed to have dozens of Uzumaki, and even the moonlight in midair shot into it and became distorted. Arc. Ten Tails' entire body was also twisted, being torn apart frantically by this irresistible force. Ooh! Painful roars twisted and spread, and the entire space was shaking. However, compared with the power of time and space, Ten Tails still failed to escape the fate of extinction. Roar! With his roar that was not only painful but also unwilling, the whole space finally calmed down. By the time everything returned to calm, the scene had lost Ten Tails' body. Ten Tails, sealed. Is it over? Everyone couldn't help but stunned. Unrivaled Ten Tails, just disappeared. Was Naruto killed by one person? The masked man was shaking all over, looking at the empty space in front of him. He only felt that everything he had was gone. Impossible. It's impossible. He suddenly roared wildly. It's absolutely impossible. Uzumaki Naruto, how can you defeat Ten Tails? I don't believe it. Never believe it. At this moment, his dream was shattered. With the disappearance of Ten Tails, the eye of the moon, the infinite moonlight, all lost their meaning. He rushed towards Naruto frantically, losing his composure. Seeing his appearance, Madara sneered slightly at the corner of her mouth. The five shadows reacted immediately and rushed up to stop him. The masked man ignored the crowd, passed through their barriers, and flew in front of Naruto. Naruto had already breathed a sigh of relief at this time, and the previous consumption was also huge for him. If it weren't for the constant replenishment of the power of nature, he probably would not have been able to insist on sealing 10 tails to the limitless. Go in time and space. Seeing the masked man pounce on him frantically, just when his hands were about to touch him, Naruto dodged his pounce with a dodge, and the next moment, before he could react, the fist slammed into his back. Boom! There was a sudden roar in the air, the masked man's back was directly dented by Naruto, and his entire body flew from the top of Kyuubi, Nine Tails' head to the ground like a shooting star. Boom! With a loud bang, a large pit was directly blasted open on the ground, and the masked man lay dying in the pit. Naruto glanced at him and said slowly, without a calm opponent, "You are no longer worthy of fighting with me." Looking at Madara, Naruto smiled lightly, "Your plan has ended here, you immortal, it's time to go back. Do you want me to take you back? Or do you go back by yourself?" Madara narrowed her eyes and glanced at the fallen masked man, then looked at Naruto again, and said coldly, "That technique just now also consumed most of your strength. Can you still defeat me now?" Swish swish. In an instant, several figures flashed in front of Naruto, stopped in front of him and looked at Madara firmly. Tsunade exclaimed, "With us here, you can never hurt Naruto." Karen, restore Naruto. Yes. Karen pounced in front of Naruto, pulled open the corset on his chest, revealing the white jade-like skin inside, and said softly, "Naruto, bite me." Naruto couldn't help sweating profusely. "Where are you asking me to bite you?" "Here here here." Karen pulled the collar on his chest more and more down, almost exposing the sturdy white rabbit. Naruto was speechless, stepped forward and pulled her arm, lifted her sleeve and bit down on her snow-white little arm. An instant, Karen's body was covered with Kiba-like marks. She couldn't help but raise her head and groaned, "It's so cool." For her, it felt like heaven. There were even wet marks on his lower body. After a few seconds, Naruto let go of her jade arm and smiled at her. "Thank you, Karen." Karen's mouth was panting and hush, and the water in his eyes was full of waves, as if he could drip water. "Naruto, it's so comfortable. Next time you have to bite me a few more times." Seeing that her whole body was sticking to his arms, Naruto hurriedly pushed her away and said, "I'll talk about this next time, but now I have to kill Uchiha Madara first." When Karen heard this, she released Naruto's arm, jumped off the top of Kyuubi, Nine Tails' head, and stood far away from the arena. Her body could not help feeling a little weak, giving Naruto a chakra feeling, which made his body almost trembled with excitement. Now she can feel that her underside is wet. At this time, Madara had once again activated the man of the full-body Susanoo, and the huge momentum spread out, completely suppressing the crowd. "Then, let's have a good fight." Chapter 379 Final Battle 6. "Everyone, step back, Uchiha Madara, and leave it to me." Naruto suddenly jumped off the top of Kyuubi, Nine Tails, and shouted to everyone. "What?" Everyone looked puzzled. "We can do our part too," Tsunade exclaimed. "Yeah, although I'm the worst actor, I'm still Kage level. We must work together to deal with people like Uchiha Madara," Terumi May also said. "Naruto, don't you believe in the power of your companions?" Jiraiya said slowly. Gaara also looked back at him with a puzzled look. "We agreed to face it together before." Seeing the excitement of the crowd, Naruto couldn't help but smile slightly and said, "It's not that I don't believe you, but that I'm afraid I'll hurt everyone by mistake. So listen to me and leave this place for 1,000 meters." "Naruto. Don't say it anymore. Only I can deal with Uchiha Madara." Naruto suddenly waved his hand to everyone. Everyone was stunned. "Hey, we have become a burden. How unwilling." Terumi May lowered her head and muttered sadly. At this moment, Bai suddenly smiled and said, "Everyone, do as he said. Don't embarrass Naruto, we should trust him." Everyone was stunned again. Yes, if Naruto disliked everyone as a burden, he wouldn't have come with everyone in the first place, and he wouldn't have given the masked man and 10 tails to everyone to deal with. He must be justified in doing so. By his words, Conan flew down from the top of QB, 9 tails' head, nodded and said, "He must have his own ideas, we can't get in his way here." When everyone heard the words, they were silent for a while, and finally nodded and stepped back. "Naruto, be careful, don't force it," Tsunade yelled at him. "Don't worry, everyone, I will definitely take care of Madara." Naruto waved his hands with his back to everyone, and when everyone stepped back, he turned to look at QB, 9 tails, sitting behind him, smiled and said, "QB, 9 tails, you have worked hard too, go back first." "What did you say? The old man is not tired, you can fight again, bastard." QB, 9 tails, immediately became dissatisfied when he heard it. Naruto frowned slightly and said solemnly, "Listen to me, go back immediately. I don't want you to die here." QB, 9 tails, was immediately startled by Naruto's tone, but felt a little moved in his heart. In fact, in the battle just now, although his resilience was amazing, he was still in a state of exhaustion at this time, and I am afraid that staying here would not be able to help him at all. "Okay, don't die, you bastard." QB, 9 tails, also disappeared with a bang. Madara and Naruto, who had opened the full-body Susanoo, were left in the arena, facing each other. Judging from the body shape, Madara completely suppressed Naruto, but judging from the expressions on both sides, Madara's face was extremely solemn, while Naruto was smiling and looked very relaxed. "It's wise for you to do this, let the extra people back away and stay and fight with me. If you don't do this, I'm afraid they will all be killed by me." Madara smiled faintly. Immediately, he laughed again. "However, I have a man who is completely Susanoo. What cards do you have that you haven't used yet? If it's just your current state, I don't believe you can kill me." "Hey," Naruto smiled. "Madara, you're right about one thing, I'm afraid they will be implicated in our battle, but there's another thing you absolutely can't think of." "Oh, what is it?" Madara asked, slightly puzzled. "That's it." Naruto suddenly pressed his hands on each other's arms. His thumbs pressed against the black runes on his arms and slowly stroked, and then a more dazzling golden light surged above these black runes. As the fingers slid down, the black runes on Naruto's 2 arms suddenly disappeared. Boom! Golden flames suddenly burst out from between Naruto's arms. The next moment, Naruto pressed his hands directly on the rune on his leg. In an instant, countless golden flames appeared on the legs. Then, he pressed his palm hard on the rune on his chest. Natural solution, the fusion of heaven and earth. Boom! Countless golden flames burned from Naruto's entire body in an instant, and at the same time, all the black runes on his body disappeared, along with the 6 paths marks on his face. He was surrounded by a golden light, and the golden flame continued to burn, soaring into the sky. Suddenly, the flame takes shape. Turned into an image of a giant almost a kilometer high, this image is an enlarged version of Naruto. In front of him, the full-body Susanoo man was as tall as his waist. Naruto stood between the heavens and the earth, and the golden flames were constantly churning above the huge golden phantom, illuminating most of the world around him. People all over the world seem to see the rising sun on the horizon. The light is extremely dazzling, the sky and the earth seem to fall into the day. This is. The 5 shadows, who had already retreated for 1,000 meters, immediately stood in place when they saw this huge golden phantom that appeared out of thin air. "God," Onoki murmured. "It's so warm. This light seems to have endless vitality. The body, it's so relaxing," Tsunade murmured. And on the surrounding land that had become a mess after the previous battle, those ruined trees actually grew at an astonishing speed. "Is this Naruto's jutsu? This can't be called ninjutsu anymore." Jiraiya couldn't help muttering. "That's amazing, Naruto, you are my god. It's so adoring," Karen screamed excitedly. Yuhi Lien also looked at him with a look of surprise and disbelief, and couldn't help but have a dazed thought, is he really a god? The rest of the people were also shocked by Naruto's powerful aura, looking up at his tall figure, unable to return to their senses for a long time. The battle at this time is no longer an ordinary Kage level, and the level of the tailed beast can participate. The mountains and rivers are so small in front of Naruto's huge phantom and Madara's complete Susanoo man. No wonder Naruto insisted on his stepping back. Now I finally understand. Terumi May murmured. Yeah, even our Kage level is so weak in front of them. Hey, Raikage sighed, seeing the strength of Naruto and Madara, he was no longer arrogant. Chapter 380 Final Battle 7. Uzumaki Naruto, I have to say you scared me with this move. Uchiha Madara was also shocked by Naruto's huge ninjutsu, and his body couldn't help shaking with excitement. Susanoo first move, slash. Full-body Susanoo man clenched his long sword in both hands and slashed at Naruto's huge phantom from top to bottom. Boom. There was a loud noise of energy transfer, and Naruto's huge phantom stretched out his left hand and held the long sword that was slashing in the face with one hand. A burst of violent energy erupted around, and the ground was shaken by this energy, bursting everywhere, the wind surged, and the sky and the earth changed color. The expressions of Wang and others changed. They only felt that they were in this energy, as insignificant as a lonely boat, as if they would be swallowed up by this powerful energy at any time in the next moment. It's too strong. We must leave here, otherwise we will really be affected. Everyone backed away frantically. It stopped after withdrawing several kilometers to the rear, watching the battle between the two giants in the distance. Susanoo's second style. Multiple cuts. Uchiha Madara let out a loud shout, and the man of Susanoo suddenly pulled back his long sword and launched a violent attack on Naruto's phantom. With the sword light wrapped in countless energy, a hurricane formed a hurricane between the sky and the earth toward Naruto. Surging past. Naruto just waved his hand lightly, and all the blade light disappeared in front of his eyes in an instant. Just when Uchiha Madara was stunned for a moment, he stretched out his arm and instantly strangled Susanoo's man by the throat. Uchiha Madara's whole body was shocked. How is that possible? This power. Rinnegan. Shinra Tensei Almighty Push sign. At the next moment, the eternal Mangekyo in Uchiha Madara's eyes instantly changed to 6 paths Rinnegan, an extremely powerful repulsion force centered on the entire Susanoo man, madly scattered around. The mountain peaks were razed to the ground, and the dark clouds in the sky were all swept away. Under the clear night sky, Naruto remained motionless, as steady as a mountain, always holding Susanoo's man by the throat. He smiled faintly. It's over, Uchiha Madara, stop struggling. The arm jerked hard. Boom. A loud bang, Madara's entire Susanoo man's throat was crushed instantly, and Naruto's entire palm was plunged into Susanoo's man's energy. Madara groaned involuntarily, and blood suddenly flowed from her eyes. Amaterasu Divine Flame. At the moment when Susanoo's man's head was cut off, a jet-black flame suddenly spewed out of his mouth, instantly covering Naruto's entire phantom. However, there was no worry on Naruto's face, and he let the black flame burn wildly around his phantom. He spit out a word softly. Destroy. The next moment, an extremely strong golden light emanated from Naruto's phantom, and the raging black fire was instantly annihilated by the golden light. Immediately afterwards, the huge phantom stretched out his palm, and in the palm, a golden energy ball was spun. Rasengan. The golden energy is condensed in the palm of the shadow, and the dazzling golden light illuminates the whole world. The sun is out. People all over the world, seeing the dazzling sun on the horizon from a distance, can't help but be very surprised, because it is obviously only midnight now. But why is the sky as bright as day? The sun, condensed in Naruto's palm and pressed hard on the chest of Uchiha Madara's Susanoo man. Boom boom boom. The powerful energy almost made the whole world tremble. Even far away from the snowy land, the ground was shaken, and the nearby villages of Konoha and Omegakure suffered a powerful earthquake, destroying their houses. Earthquake cracks. Golden light. Dazzling golden light. The five shadows watching from a distance could no longer see the phantoms of Naruto and Susanoo's man, and they were completely immersed in a golden world. When everyone reacted, Uchiha Madara's Susanoo's man had disappeared, leaving only Naruto's huge phantom standing between the heavens and the earth, as if it was a god. No, in the hearts of everyone, Naruto at this moment is already a god. Naruto's phantom gradually dissipated, and the golden light on his body also disappeared. Front of him, Uchiha Madara's body was slowly condensing and forming. In the attack just now, his entire body and Susanoo's man disappeared into the huge energy ball. Naruto's figure flashed, and when the other party was not fully formed, he stretched out his palm and pressed it hard on top of his head. The seal of the dead. Instant, runes stretched out from the top of Madara's head, enclosing him. After the seal was over, Naruto finally let out a sigh of relief. At this time, the five shadows also rushed towards Naruto. After seeing that Uchiha Madara had been sealed, Chi-Chi breathed a sigh of relief. Great, Naruto, you've finally killed Madara. Karen jumped up and shouted excitedly. At this moment, Naruto's expression suddenly changed, and with a puff, a mouthful of blood suddenly spewed out of his mouth. Everyone's face changed greatly. Naruto. 6 generations of eyes. The frightened crowd was about to support him, but Naruto quickly sat down with his legs crossed, a green light full of life radiating from his body. He couldn't help laughing bitterly in his heart. It seems that the side effect of completely liberating himself this time is still coming. The state of integrating the power of heaven and earth, now he is very reluctant to use it. After defeating Uchiha Madara just now, his body in fact, it has become riddled with holes under the impact of this powerful force, and the meridians and cells in the body have long been unable to bear it. And at this time, after insisting on using up the surgery, Naruto's injury finally broke out. However, Naruto has the power of life to restore his body, and there is no danger to his life, but this time the injury is not light. He does not dare to neglect, and absorbs the power of life from the outside world, constantly repairing internal injuries. Body. However, an accident happened. When Naruto repaired his body with the power of life, the natural power that remained in his body due to the injury suddenly merged with these powers of life, and frantically absorbed the power of life in his body, smashing him. The whole body is wrapped in it. Naruto couldn't help groaning. At this moment, his body could no longer control the rampant life force, and he just tilted his head and fell backwards, fainting. At this time, the power of life around him and the power of nature in his body were still surging in his body, scouring his body while repairing his injuries.